Everybody, we'll call the meeting to order for August 23rd, 2022. We've got, I think, some colleagues that are online, so we'll do this hybrid style. Tony, take it away.
Jimenez,
Present.
Morales, Cohen,
Here.
Carrasco,
Present.
Davis,
Here.
Esparza,
Here.
Arenas, Foley,
Here.
Mahan,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
Licardo.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Okay, we got a
And
quorum.
sorry, Tony, Raul is here as well.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And Tony, I'm here.
Okay, if you're able to stand, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, today's invocation will be provided by Pastor Bill McCorkadale as the chaplain for the United Veterans Council of Santa Clara County, and Council Member Esparza will tell us more remotely.
Thank you, Mayor. For today's invocation, I'm so honored to have Pastor Bill McCorkadale. Pastor Bill has graciously recorded a video invocation for today's council, and we look forward to having him back out on the council in person in the future. Pastor Bill serves as the chaplain for the United Veterans Council of Santa Clara County, as well as for the Veterans Supportive Services Agency, American Legion Post 858, and the Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 201. Pastor Bill is a United States Navy veteran himself, having served from 1968 to 1974. He plays an integral role in supporting veterans in our community, offering his calm spiritual guidance and ensuring that our veterans receive the support and services that they deserve. Pastor Bill has lived in San Jose since 1969 and has been married to his wife, Chris, for 46 years. And they have 2 children and 6 grandchildren. And with that, if we can go ahead and play the video.
Good afternoon. My name is Pastor Bill McCorkadale. I'm the chaplain of the United Veterans Council of Santa Clara County, and I am grateful to be here today. Thank you, Mayor Licardo and City Council members, for inviting me to join you today and to open up this important meeting in prayer. So with that, let us pray. Heavenly Father, gracious God, we acknowledge your absolute authority over our lives and over all that we are here to do today. We look to you as the author of all life and the provider of all that we are in need of. We're so thankful that we live in a nation where we're free to openly pray and ask for your blessings upon our lives and upon all we do. We give you thanks, Lord, for your amazing love for each and every one of us. We thank you, Lord, for our freedom and for the liberty we enjoy every day in America. Help us to never take our freedom for granted. Let us always honor the memory of those who fought for it and the many who died for it. We thank you for keeping our nation strong and for all those who serve and have served and sacrificed to protect her. And now, Lord, I pray for our mayor, for our city council, for our first responders and all those who faithfully serve our community. I ask that you would guide them in the very important work that they have to do each and every day. I ask you, Lord, to grant them wisdom. I ask you to give them strength. I ask that you would guide them in their discussions, deliberations, and any decisions they need to make. Help them, Lord, to honor you and to honor the office they hold and the trust of the citizens that they represent. Help them, Lord, to truly make a difference. Please watch over our community and keep it safe. Lord, for it is in your mighty name that we pray today. Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen.
I really appreciate you inviting me here today. Have a great meeting. Bye-bye.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Bill. Good to have you with us. All right, we have some ceremonial items that we'll do in person. First, Councilmember Arenas will join me at the podium. We're going to recognize and proclaim National Women's Equality Day.
Thank you. And good afternoon. Well, the women behind me, alongside me, join me. I want to just thank everyone for joining us today to recognize Women's Equality Day, which is August 26th. And I'd also like to ask my colleagues. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I forget how these things go now in person and how to interact with one another. I'll blame the pandemic. All right. Today and every day, we celebrate women's achievements and the ongoing fight for gender equality. And it's been over a century since the 19th Amendment was certified, making it illegal to deny the citizens the right to vote based on sex. And while our white counterparts did win that and had their journey end at 1920, it wasn't until centuries later that all women of color and all disfranchised other groups gained that equal access to the polls. So this really is just a reminder for us to make sure that when we think about equality, that equality isn't just in words. It's something that we need to see in everyday life, and it has to be in practice. It just can't be something we read off on a proclamation day. So let's use this opportunity to really think about, and for those of you to reflect on, how do we celebrate and support women that are in our everyday lives. The struggles of women continue to the struggle of women still continue on. This is just an example, and that's what I'm doing for all of you to see. So we continue to struggle, and that's why we need advocates, and that's why we need the men and women and all the people in our culture to recognize and to be very cognizant of how do you support the different roles that women have in our lives, whether it's a mom who's staying at home and raising children, or a mom who's coming to council, like the ladies in back of me, to think about policy and gear our city forward. And so I ask you to please do that and to be one of those advocates. Today, I'm really proud of the women who I'm serving with and the women that I get to interact with at this level. We have Pam Foley and we have Councilmember Deb Davis and Pam Foley, who have been advocates in their own right. And the Councilmember Foley has been leading on the needs of those who are differently abled and are senior citizens. And then Deb, I know that has, sorry I call you Deb, but we've been sitting since we first started and we have a really wonderful friendship. And I see how hard she works and her focus on homelessness, especially in her district. And I very much respect the time that they give here. They have to take it away from somewhere. And usually that means they take it away from their families. And so thank you for your service, along with the rest of the women who are behind me. I won't go one by one, but the ones are, I think, in Zoom somewhere, our Councilmember Maya Esparza, and thank you for never accepting status quo and being a fighter. And Councilmember Carrasco, thank you for making sure that survivors of domestic violence always have a voice and a true feminist for all of us. So I just wanted to recognize that. I also wanted to recognize the women here who are from the Evergreen Valley College Women and Gender Studies program, and whose mission is to challenge all forms of oppression. So watch out, they're here to do that. And they're doing that by offering a couple of degrees, one of which is general studies with emphasis in women and gender studies. And then another one is in AA-T in social justice, women and gender studies. And so both degrees have been designed to create innovative teaching and learning environments and experiences where students study how to question the status quo, apply their knowledge to solving social problems, and empower to become agents of social change for advancing equal right and opportunities for all. And I'd like to ask you if you could accept my daughter, who's 7 years old, and she's going to be a fighter, that one, giving me a run for my money. And all of these programs are really interdisciplinary, intersectional, transnational, and based on social justice. This approach with a study of women and gender and sexuality. And it started in 2005 by this incredible woman, Marjorie Clark. Yes, please. She deserves that. Whom I like to share a few words, but I know that there's other folks here, our President Tamil Gilkerson and Josh Russell, who are, and Jessica Brenny, co-chair on the Council of Status of Women, who have done such a wonderful job in folding our office into some of the work that they do and they lead. And I'm really proud to say that we are offering the same type of partnership, and we're both working on a conference geared towards women that will be coming up sometime soon. We're in the planning process. And so it's just wonderful partnerships in our community. Please take advantage of these programs, or let folks know that they exist. A lot of the times we just don't know what's out there. So Marjorie Clark, please.
Good afternoon. I like to speak from the heart. I don't like to read speeches, but this is a very emotional time for me, and I want to stay on point. So please excuse me while I read. So on behalf of the Evergreen Valley College Women and Gender Studies Program Advisory Board, and on behalf of my co-chair on the Council on the Status of Women, Dr. Jessica Brahidi, and President Gilkerson, I'd like to thank you for this honor, and special thanks to Council Member Arenas for her incredible partnership and the work that she does daily with her marvelous staff in promoting a healthy environment for families in San Jose. So yesterday, my family buried my 103-year-old aunt. I thought of excusing myself today and asking Dr. Bahini to speak on my behalf, but I could think of no better way to honor my aunt and the women of her generation who courageously, in loud and very quiet ways, paved the ways for many of the rights that we now enjoy and unfortunately take for granted. Tia Rosa was born in 1919 during the Spanish flu, which claimed over 50 million people worldwide. She died in 2022 during the COVID-19 pandemic, where conservatively 7 million people have died worldwide. In 1919, the life expectancy of women was 54.6 years. Today, it's 87. When Tia Rosa was born, women in the United States were still fighting for the right to vote. And while we are here today celebrating this hard-earned right, we in America are still fighting to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, which would guarantee equal legal rights for all American citizens, regardless of sex. When Tia Rosa was born, the majority of women worldwide typically worked on farms and in non-paid work. In developed countries, women worked primarily as teachers, nurses, and maids, and were paid much less than men. Today, many women have joined the workforce as engineers, scientists, computer programmers, and mathematicians. But a large percentage of women, especially women of color, are still employed in low-paying jobs because of this reason and because of lack of resources. Millions of women have left the workforce during the COVID pandemic. Today in America, women earn 83 cents to the dollar for the comparable work that men make for the same time. While we have made many gains, these are still very dangerous times for women. Women are still not safe in their homes, they're not safe in our schools, they're not safe in our colleges or our workplace. Rates of domestic violence and sexual assaults are still rising. This is why it's so wonderful that the council members are working on these issues. So while we pause today to reflect and celebrate the wonderful gains women have achieved in the past 100 years, we cannot rest until all women receive all of their human rights and are valued and respected. Thank you.
And Mayor, would you do us the honor of providing the proclamation to President Gilkerson and Marjorie Clark? If they would stand together, it would be easier for you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we have one final commendation, and we are celebrating Pride this week. And Councilmember Foley is here to tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. And what a wonderful day to celebrate Pride. We're celebrating women's equality, and we're celebrating the equality of the LGBTQ plus community. How exciting is that? We need to celebrate, don't we? Thank you, Councilmember Arenas, for kicking us off with that. So I'm Pam Foley, and I represent District 9. And Councilmember Davis and I are co-sponsoring this recognition. Today, we celebrate Silicon Valley Pride Week. Now, if this presentation seems a little repetitive, okay, it is. Because in June, we were right up here with the same cast of characters, still introducing Pride. But in Silicon Valley, we like to do things large and we like to do things our way. So while June is the official Pride Month, we celebrate Silicon Valley Pride this week, followed by a parade, and I'm sure Nicole will talk about that in a few minutes. So what's Pride about? I have given this history lesson before, but it always bears repeating because I never know who's in the audience, and it's really important for you to know why we are celebrating Pride today. Pride began as an event to acknowledge the Stonewall riots, where members of the gay and trans community were victimized. That was in 1969. Since then, the LGBTQ plus community has fought to obtain protections and rights that other groups have achieved, such as the right to marry. This week, we celebrate Pride and the equal protections achieved through their many years of struggle, and I think we're calling it Celebrate Your Authentic Self. Close, not completely right. Okay, well, you know, I always go off script. What am I going to do? Hey, thank you. We are over 2 years. We celebrate the right to love whomever you love, regardless of sexual preference or gender identity. I wear this mask with pride and to show the world how I feel about love is love and the LGBTQ plus community. We are over 2 years into the COVID pandemic, but it was not long ago that the gay community was hit hard by the AIDS pandemic. We lost many during those years, including my brother. Tim, I will never forget you, and I always keep you in my heart today and always. The LGBTQ plus community is under attack again. The Supreme Court has indicated that it may consider reviewing cases that would eliminate rights of members of the community. As allies, we must fight to protect members of the queer community. I dedicate my life to it. It's not only personal, it's the right thing to do. We must continue to fight, to keep up the fight to honor individuals who we have lost and those heroes that are still with us today, like Ken Yeager and Wigsy Severstein. Oh boy, did I butcher her last name just then. Sorry about that. Sorry, Wigsy. We celebrate this week and march in the parade on Sunday. This is the party we deserve. We must keep our eye on the changing political climate and fight to not allow our country to return to 1969, depriving our LGBTQ plus community of the rights and protections they deserve. On Thursday, we will be lighting City Hall in the rainbow flag colors and raise the trans and rainbow flags. I hope you will join us. Today, we acknowledge Silicon Valley Pride and the diverse individuals who work hard and volunteer their time and energy to create a more inclusive and vibrant LGBTQ plus community in San Jose. With that, I'd like to introduce Councilmember Dave Davis to say a few words, and then to Nicole Altamirano, who is the CEO of Silicon Valley Pride. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think Councilmember Foley said it all. We are happy to proclaim this week as Silicon Valley Pride Week because we believe there is no such thing as too much visibility or representation for communities that have long been marginalized. And Nicole, I want to thank you and all your wonderful volunteers at Silicon Valley Pride for continuing to host this parade and festival. We are excited to celebrate our LGBTQ plus community loud and proud. You are great examples of what it means to live authentically, and we are proud of each and every one of you. We continue to stand by as allies, and we will continue to support you and your right to equality. I am looking forward to seeing many of you at this Sunday's Pride Parade. Happy Pride, everyone, and take it away, Nicole.
Happy Silicon Valley Pride Week, Pride Month, Pride year round. That's what I like to celebrate. Thank you so much, Councilmember Foley and Davis, Mayor Sam Liccardo, all of City Council and the City Manager's Office. We are very fortunate to live in an area that they embrace the LGBTQ plus community, diversity, inclusion. We need to remember that we need to continue that diversity and that inclusion, and to continue to fight for the rights that were so hard already fought for by so many. This year's theme is Proudly Authentic, which if you consider and you take for a moment, what does proudly authentic mean? How did we get to a space that we can be proudly authentic? Because if you go back in history, there were times that you weren't even allowed to be authentic, let alone proudly authentic. So as we see the rollback on rights, whether it's body autonomy, or whether it's the rights of our trans siblings, or whether it's the rights of those other marginalized groups that are being persecuted yet today, we need to remember that we need to stand and fight. We stand on the shoulders and the backs of the ones that came before us. Silicon Valley Pride is always proud to stand with the marginalized parts of all of the community, because something that's unique to our LGBTQ plus community, we don't come in just one color. We don't come in just one nationality. We don't come in just one gender or attraction or ability. We encompass everybody. So that's what it means to me to be proudly authentic. That's what it means to Silicon Valley Pride to stand proudly authentic with all of our community. So this week, we have a week-long celebrations. We're right smack dab in the middle of it. Tonight we have a drag queen cook-off. Let's see what drag queen can cook better. Tomorrow we have a black and pink party for our queer women community. Thursday, we have the flag raising here at City Hall. We're so honored to be a part of it yet again. And then Friday, we're gonna be out at Excite Ballpark, family-friendly movie night. And then Saturday and Sunday, of course, our popular parade and festival. So we're super excited. And even though we're fighting, even though we're standing proudly authentic, something our community does well, we look fabulous while we do it. So happy Silicon Valley Pride, and everybody, welcome.
Okay, if you want to check out the drag queen cook-off or any of the other events, you can go online at svpride.com. Lots happening this week. All right, let's move on to our orders of the day. Does anyone in the council have any changes to the printed agenda? I'm not seeing any hands, and I'm looking online.
I have no council hands.
Okay. All right, then we'll just move forward to the closed session report. Nora?
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have a report out of closed session today.
Thanks, Nora. Okay, we're on to the consent calendar. Several of my colleagues would like to pull some items. Let me read the list. Councilmember Carrasco would like to pull 2.7, which are terms to side letter agreement between the city and CAMP, City Association Management Personnel. Councilmember Pross would like to pull item 2.10, which is the ordinance regulating taxi cabs. And Councilmember Pross would like to pull item 2.11, which is a cost-sharing funding agreement with VTA for the downtown transit mall station platform railing extensions. Are there any other items to be pulled by my colleagues first? Councilor Pross?
On 2.11, I only have a question for staff and a comment, so I don't know if we need to pull that.
Let's pull it anyway. I
Okay.
think we may have some discussion on that. Okay, any other items? All right, let's go first then to 2.7. Councilmember Carrasco?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I wanted to pull 2.7 because I brought this up when we did a proclamation about a month ago and urging our viewers and our listeners to consider adopting some of our residents there at the shelter, but I'm very happy that this is coming to the council. We're experiencing a crisis at the animal shelter, and by no fault of our own staff, but really making sure that they're staffed at levels that will take care of our furry little friends, and making sure that we incentivize our veterinarians so that we can attract the brightest and the best talent and keep them. Our residents deserve the very best of our services, but our furry little friends need to make sure that that they're kept safe and secure and that their lives are not at risk. And currently, we know that our residents are not experiencing the service levels that they've come to expect from the city of San Jose. Case in point, about a month ago, I had a wonderful event. We teamed up with a nonprofit organization, Ella Vet, that allowed us to vaccinate about 70 little furballs, cats and dogs, but our residents were very eager to continue accessing spaying and neutering services. It's become very, very difficult to get those services. I'm a victim of it myself for my pets, and as a result, I'm now taking care of a colony that is actually growing overnight. I had 4 little ones that I was taking care of that come and knock on my kitchen window in the morning or hang out by my bedroom door at night, and now it's grown to 2 more cats that have learned that this is a safe place for them. So very concerned about the growth in the feral cats, and of course what's happening with the rest of our pets there at the shelter. I'm confident that this will at least begin to alleviate a crisis that we're experiencing in the city of San Jose by, again, staffing, increasing the staffing levels, and more importantly, making sure that we get the kind of loving and caring doctors there to care for our pets. I want to urge anyone that is listening to educate themselves, get the information that you need, and really consider adopting one of these little guys. I can't tell you the joy that Little Man and Cheeto and Sushi and Baby Sushi, Mama and Little Mama have brought to our lives. Truly, they are my ray of sunshine in the morning, and love to hear them purring at night by my bedroom window. Just really have enriched our family's life. So I urge everyone to be aware of it and to consider adopting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, let's consider public comment this time on this item, which is, again, 2.7, relating to the agreement with the City Association Management Personnel.
Okay, I have BSO Rowdy. Again, this is on just item 2.7. BSO Rowdy. Okay, I'm going to move on to Dinah.
Thank you. My name is Dinah. I'm a member of the Community Cats Working Group, and I wanted to comment that the shelter has 2 full-time veterinarian positions open that they have been trying to fill for months. And despite the best efforts of shelter and staff, they are currently unable to meet the needs of the community at the shelter, and animals are getting lost in the system and they are not making it out. The shelter is advertising that August is Clear the Shelters Month, which is a month-long pet adoption drive. And unfortunately, though there are 235 cats and kittens in the shelter, there are 7 listed for adoption. This is due to the lack of veterinarians and vet techs to perform the necessary spay and neuter surgeries and health checks to get them cleared for adoption, and the basic needs of the animals are not able to be met. I would like to thank the mayor and city council members and the director of public works for recognizing the need for competitive compensation to fill these desperately needed roles, and to continue to review and support animal services as the essential community service that it truly is, and consider the impact on the community and rescue partners when the animal shelter is non-functional.
Back to the council.
Thank you. All right, we'll move forward to the next item, which is 2.10, the ordinance regulating taxi cabs in San Jose. Councilmember Perales.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. And, thank you, staff, for your work on this item. As I and the mayor asked for it to be deferred from last October to allow for additional engagement with our taxi industry. As we know, especially over the last decade, this has been an industry that has been severely impacted, initially with the arrival of TNCs, and then more recently with COVID. And it's been my interest to attempt and see how best we could regulate to level the playing field for the taxi industry here in San Jose to allow them to remain competitive and hopefully in business, as we've actually lost a number of them over the last decade. I do appreciate the compromises that staff has made since that first initial recommendation, and I'm willing to support most of it with a couple changes in regards to one of the alternatives, or the alternative. I do understand and empathize with the concerns of our taxi industry that they've shared with us on, namely this liability insurance increase. I'm cognizant if running a business, $300,000 liability insurance jumping to $750,000 on insurance minimum certainly will have a tremendous business impact. However, I also recognize the reality that we face here in the city and that there is a inherent risk with the current amount and not being able to provide adequate protection for taxi cab passengers or other third parties if seriously injured in an accident caused by a taxi cab company or driver, and particularly one that would involve a fatality. And while I don't want to place additional fiscal burdens on the drivers, I would rather ensure that they have the adequate liability protection to be completely, so hopefully that they were not completely put out of business if an unfortunate incident were to occur. And with that said, I do believe that we can at least provide a little bit of breathing room to allow for these new minimums to kick in. And I appreciate staff's recommendation of the policy alternative number 1. And considering San Francisco was looking at something similar, and they're going to be ending their current temporary reduction on June 30th of 2023. I believe that we could align our first increase with that date as well, and with the subsequent minimum increase to remain at June 30th, 2024, as was in the recommendation. And then I did have a question for staff. I didn't know if somebody was here to answer.
Did you want to make a motion while staff is making its way down?
Happy to. So the motion would be to accept the staff alternative 1 recommendation with the following modifications on the liability insurance, to change the initial minimum increase to $500,000 on June 30th, 2023, rather than October 1st of this year. And then the second increase will remain $750,000, going up to $750,000 on June 30th of 2024. That's the same. And then on the permit fees, I wanted to clarify that staff will return with the time task analysis to consider potential permit fee reductions if they are warranted. That's actually where my question was in regards, Mayor. So
yeah,
that's the motion.
Second.
And so staff, a question. So in regards to these time task analysis and the permit fees, I understand you'll be completed with those December of this year. I'm curious if that's going to come back in the form of an information memo or to a committee report. Curious on the opportunity we may have there to address that.
Good morning, Lieutenant Kidwell, the permits unit. The time task analysis is typically done every 4 to 5 years. And so the last one was done in 2018, and so it is coming up for review. And so what typically will happen is those tasks will be analyzed over a number of permits and estimated, and then those fees will then be applied to the next fiscal year.
Okay, so you don't typically come back then with a memo or a report, you just update it in the next fiscal year's budget?
That's correct.
Maybe I can clarify, Councilmember Corrales. It'll come back through the fees and charges report.
Okay.
That you'll be able, that, council reviews as part of the budget process.
Okay, if you don't mind, if you could provide an info memo, then I'll add that into the motion, considering how it would now return wouldn't be till the fees and charges report of next year. If you are done in December of this year, I'd like to see an info memo that at least denoted what the results were. Then that way we understand if there's an opportunity for the fees to be reduced or not. And I understand they wouldn't be reduced till the following year anyways. So.
Okay.
Just so also I'd like to clarify a little bit. So normally we're not able to do fees and charges that early. I mean, they could probably do their time analysis, I'm sure, but we don't have full costs to really understand where for the full cost recovery, where the costs are until after we get retirement rates and things like that, which normally come out in February or so as when we're doing our forecast. So they can, potentially give you an information memo on the time part of it, but we won't be able to finalize fees until a little bit later, if that's okay.
The timing is fine. Yeah, if the info memo wasn't ready for release until February, then that's fine as well. What I'm looking for, we have a lot of things that come up in the budget process, a lot that comes up in the fines, fees, and charges report. This, in my mind, potentially could get lost through that shuffle. And the opportunity here is the interest from the taxi industry and their belief, because of some of the I think the software that we may be utilizing now that could reduce the time of this, is that they'd like to see if that were the case. And so I think that I just wanted to draw that out. So if the info memo is ready in February, that's fine. There's no time on that, but I just wanted to pull that out in a separate document.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I appreciate the line of inquiry from the council member, in particular on the reduction of the fees, because we do have the highest fee of the 5 cities we've surveyed for new permits, and renewals, I guess, we're the second highest. And so I think there's understandable basis for the concerns here, the taxi drivers. I guess the question I'd have for the city manager or anybody else who wants to respond is there any way we could get to mid-year? Obviously, I won't be on this council, but someone will, and others I know here will. And so we could consider a fee reduction as soon as mid-year in February.
Is that timing work for you?
Yes, we'll be able to complete it by December.
So we could do an adjustment, and then there may be, to either decide if we're going to stay at that level or do a subsequent small adjustment for the rate for the July 1 fiscal year. We can certainly do that.
That'd be wonderful. Council members, is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And the seconder? Yes. Vice Mayor. Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to other questions from the council. I don't see any hands, so let's go to the public. We're just considering this item 2.10, which is ordinance regulating taxi cabs in San Jose.
I have Maria here in the council chambers. Please come down to the podium.
Afternoon, can you hear me? Yeah, okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I would like to speak more about the insurance increase. I definitely understand the city's concern regarding liabilities and significant losses. I would just like to give a little more information about how the company I represent, Green Cab, specifically would be affected. So I am the manager at Green Cab. It's one of the 3 remaining taxi companies in this city. Green Cab is a small minority-owned business, and it has sustained itself for nearly 20 years through great sacrifices by stakeholders. We are not a large company, and our industry does not exist in conditions in which it can flourish and grow. I am here today to respectfully request you, the Honorable Mayor, and the City Council to pass regulations that can allow us to survive and continue operating in San Jose, the city we have served for almost 20 years. Please omit or defer requirements like the insurance increase. This new requirement will double our insurance expenses, and we will not be able to offset this expense because business and revenue for our industry is almost non-existent. This insurance increase may put Green Cab, a small minority-owned entity, out of business. Regulations should not further endanger our industry. They should enable successful operations. We were promised that the playing field between TNCs and taxis would be leveled. This requirement may do the opposite and ensure that TNCs successfully take us out of the transportation industry. Please consider what I am saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Online, I have Abby Katema.
Okay, that's my mistake. Siyum Azrat from Green Cab. Mr. Mayor and council members, I really appreciate. I would like I would like to ask the council members to support the motion passed by Council Member Perales. That will give us a breathing ground and in future what to do further for industry to survive. I would like to take a moment, Mayor Sam Lacardo. We have been working with you since you were a council member, and especially since you became a mayor the last 8 years. Scott Green has been working with us. You really work hard for our industry to survive. We really appreciate and we wish you good luck in your further ambition to serve the people of California. And this is a crucial time for taxi industry. So we would like you to support us to survive. There are still some people in the city who like to use the taxi service. Thank you very much. And I hope everybody will support the motion by Council Member Perales. Thank you very much.
Caller 9327. Press *6 to unmute. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Yeah, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do I speak?
What was that?
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of our leader City Council. My name is Shakur Booni. I've been a cab driver in the city over 25 years. And really, I'm here to support Council Member Raul Peria's amendment for the memo because of we are in a desperate, we're losing our companies because the companies are getting increase on the insurance liability. Therefore, the drivers who are affiliated with those companies, they won't have any company they can affiliate. So on behalf of the drivers, we are supporting that amendment and our council member, Raul Perias. And also I'm thankful here for Honorable Mayor Sam Ricardo for the help for the last 16, 18 years. The help he did to support this industry to survive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I hope you have a future bright political ahead of you. And I hope the other members of the council will support to survive this industry. And one more item, I'm just on behalf of the drivers adding, the fees are too much to get new driver or the current drivers, please. We are requesting here to put it back the current fee, the fees before the cover. That was a little bit affordable, but this one is not affordable. Thank you, the leaders of the city. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. Happy meeting today. I wanted to speak, I guess you combined 2.10 and 2.11 as public comment time. I hope you can also allow public comment time for the remainder of consent calendar items after this items. I wanted to speak on item 2.11 about the new pedestrian railings for downtown light
So we'll
rail.
be calling that item in just a second. If you can just hold on and put your hand up in the next item.
Okay.
Great.
Sorry
Thank
about that.
Thanks.
Caller 7295.
Hello,
Hello, we can hear you.
I'm going to speak on item 6.2.
We're on item 2.10 right now. When we get to 6.2, go ahead and put your hand up again. Back to the council.
All right, back to the council. I should clarify something I said before. I said we had the highest fees. That was on, I believe, for driver permits and for new driver permits, and it was the second highest for renewals. Obviously, there are other costs, for example, on vehicles and vehicle vehicle inspections that other cities are higher on, but that particular fee was a concern of mine, since I know that drivers bear that quite directly. I appreciate Councilmember Perales raising that issue. Are there other comments from the council before we vote on? Oh, you can see Councilmember Perales has a motion. Did you want to include all the consent items other than 211 in your motion? Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's just vote individually on 210. I think that'll probably make it simple. All right, let's just vote on 210, the motion from Councilmember Perales.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Mahan,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we will go to item 211, which is the cost sharing funding agreement between the VTA and the city for the downtown transit mall station platform railing extensions. Councilmember Perales, I think you had some questions on this.
Yeah, thank you. This has been some time coming, actually a couple years now. Our office has been working on this issue with both our DOT and VTA on updating the ADA platform railings for our light rail stations. For those of you that have used those in the downtown area, you may recall as you go up onto the platforms, there's some areas of the platforms that have no railing, and essentially it's very easy to fall off of. This was more challenging than I had expected, but I appreciate our staff's diligence on it, and partnering with VTA to find a solution here, and want to flag and say thank you to our senior commissioner, Marcia Cohen-Zakai, who flagged this for us initially. She has been tremendously patient and a fierce advocate to see this through. And I'm happy that we were able to see it before my term was up. And so thank you for that. And thank you, Jessica Zank and Alice Saraun from our DOT, and Aaron Yu from our city attorney's office for staying on top of this and getting it done. And so I just wanted to ask the question of staff, what are the next, thank you, Jessica. What are the next steps now that we have this cost sharing agreement? What are the next steps to see this concluded?
Great. Thank you. Jessica Zank, Deputy Director for the Department of Transportation. So I'm happy to report that engineering has been completed for this project by VTA, and plans were transmitted over to the VTA contracting team to put together the bid packages. So once this cost sharing agreement is solidified, they will advertise that and then go through the award process. They anticipate that to take a couple months this fall, and then start construction shortly thereafter. There's an approximately 4-month construction timeframe for the work itself.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. And with that, Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you for the work of you and your team to bring this forward, and of staff. I really also want to thank Marcia Cohen-Sakai. I was able to review the PowerPoint that she put together, which was, I think, an exemplary model of citizen activism at its best. And I want to apologize on behalf of VTA for the challenges she encountered in just being able to get this very reasonable concern raised to the point where it could be voted on by the board and on with the city. So appreciate the persistence and passion here. We need that in citizen activism, activism of all kinds, and so we appreciate it. Okay, Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Councilmember Perales for pulling this and highlighting the senior advocate who brought this to fruition, actually. I'm the senior commission council liaison, and every time we go, this issue comes up. So it will be really happy to have it put to rest, make it safer for her, for all those with disabilities to move and navigate around the VTA station. So thank you for your advocacy on that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Let's go to the public for comments.
Eugene?
Afternoon, council members. Eugene Bradley, Silicon Valley Transit Users. I echo the Honorable Mayor Ricardo's comments. I work with Ms. Cohen-Zakai to address this issue with the light rail platforms and even the stripings to both city council and to DTA. In fact, a couple of my members nearly got hurt at Paseo de San Antonio because they did not see the light rail striping that was painted gray and not the more standard yellow like it is at Winchester. I sent a letter in support of this to all of City Council. And thank you, Mayor Licaro, for reading Marcia's PowerPoint presentation. Hope you learned from it. So let's get this approved and let's get these platforms fixed and safe for everybody, especially the disabled to use. Thank you.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Sorry about that. I misunderstood. I thought you were asking for public comment for items 2.10 and 2.11 together. Speak of all remaining consent calendar items and to 2.11. Thank you for the public safety issues that you're working on with 2.11. To speak to items 2.9 about new contracts with downtown parking vendors. With much ALPR use and as a part of this item, a reminder that with the recent Supreme Court decisions around abortion this past summer, we are simply at a time to again consider the importance of privacy rights and data collection, and to again begin to better consider how the everyday public can more easily understand that civil protections with data collection and surveillance and for the everyday public can more easily understand their civil protections with data collection and surveillance technology. I offer time and again how the city government of San Jose and Downtown Parking Commission should want to work towards open public policies and accountability with tech and data, as this can help organize our better ideals and community practices. And from this, among other things, it can help create friendlier spaces that can invite more people to want to visit downtown San Jose and to want to be a part of these good concepts. And with my remaining time to try to speak about the Ukrainian flag raising issues, I have been trying to offer for the past month and for the past 6 months how at public comment time, there always can be avenues open to work towards peaceful negotiative terms for the future of the Ukraine area and Russia. This can include how all local our own local ideas of racial equity and health and human services that can help better address what has been continual problems for local communities of the Ukraine area for the past 3 decades now. As I worry this war, its harm, brutality, and short-sighted decision-making will want to continue into this fall and winter, the choices in decision-making from all sides will become colder. And that means this country will not want to practice our...
Back to council.
Thank you. Councilmember Pross.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thank you because the hard work was done on my team by David Tran, and I know Marcia knows that very well. And so I wanted to make sure to echo and appreciate him for working with her and working with our DOT staff and with VTA to see this through. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, let's vote on the motion. Oh, wait a minute now. This is on 2.11. Why don't we take this motion with 2.7, the remainder of the consent items?
I made the motion for the remainder of the consent
We
items.
did. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you. Let's make sure we then take public comment for all consent. Did that? I'm just looking at Tony to see.
Yeah, I put up the main slide, but if you want to speak about, okay, there's Blair. Go ahead, Blair.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. I have time to speak on the remainder of consent calendar items now.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. I will just simply quickly conclude what was the last part that I think got cut off. Sorry about that. What I was trying to finish saying was that this can include, we can talk about ideas of racial equity and health and human services that can help better address the continual problems for local communities in the Ukraine area for the past few decades now. And as I worry, as I currently worry, the current war, its harm, brutality, and its short-sighted decision-making will want to continue into this fall and winter. And from this, that our choices in decision-making for all sides will become colder. And that would mean this country would not want to fully practice our better human ideals, peace, and more open democratic principles. And again, quickly offer, it's my hope that we are at a time to better consider how the everyday public can more easily understand their civil protections with data collection and surveillance technology, I think, it just feels right. This is a good time to think about those things. Good luck how we can talk about these subjects, civil protections, but data collection at this time. Thank you.
Back to council.
All right, thank you. Let's vote now on the motion with regard to the remainder of the consent calendar.
Jimenez.
Aye.
Perales.
Yes.
Cohen.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Davis.
Yes.
Esparza.
Yes.
Arenas.
Yes.
Foley.
Aye.
Mahan.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, item 10.1 is the land use consent calendar. Is there a motion? Ooh,
So
approval.
moved.
Second.
I see no hands from my colleagues. Going to the public. I see no hands.
I have no hands from the public.
Okay,
on that.
let's vote on that motion.
Jimenez.
Aye.
Perales.
Yes.
Cohen.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Davis.
Yes.
Esparza.
Yes.
Arenas.
Yes.
Foley.
Aye.
Mahan.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, item 10.4 is the administrative hearing on the environmental appeal, the plan director's determination of consistency with the site at 2000 Cisco Systems, Site 6, affectionately known as Second Harvest. Okay, so we have thank you, Vice Mayor. Let's ask our city attorney to weigh in first.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to remind the council that on these appeals, your job is quasi-judicial in effect. So it's important that you are prepared to decide these two appeals that are before you today in a reasonable and impartial way. You're have a record before you, and you'll be receiving presentation from the staff that's involving that record. But it's important that you make your decision based on what you hear today at the meeting, and you recognize that the decision you're making today is based on the evidence before you and not necessarily your personal feelings about a particular project. A lot of those decisions have already been made. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Okay, let's go to staff. I see Chris and Robert.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. Just give us one moment. We're just pulling up the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to David Keon to give us the presentation on this one.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. David Keon, Principal Planner on the city's Environmental Review Team. Before you today is the environmental appeal of the Director's adoption of a determination of consistency with the Cisco Systems.
Dave, could I ask you to pull the mic a little closer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They,
I know that one's
we
not
go.
cooperating.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is for the Second Harvest Food Bank Project and Alviso. The proposed project, just self-set up here. Proposed project is a plan development permit, also for PD 21016. It's referred to as the Second Harvest Food Bank project. That would allow the construction of approximately 250,000 square foot warehouse, distribution facility, and office building, and in addition, maintaining the existing entitlement on the site, which is for a plan development permit to develop 2 office buildings, was approved back in 2013. The plan development permit and environmental determination was a determination of consistency with the Cisco Systems Site 6 final environmental impact report, which was adopted on May 25th. This determination of consistency was adopted on May 25th, 2022. On May 30th, 2022, a timely appeal of the environmental determination was filed by Mark Espinoza on behalf of Marcos Espinoza. So the project location in question is a part of, it's approximately 10 acres as part of a over 150 acre site that is evaluated in the Cisco Systems EIR. It is located immediately adjacent to the Topgolf project and to the Alviso Hotel project next door. It is just south of North First Street. Alviso, the community of Alviso, is more to the northwest of the site. The issues raised in the environmental appeal was that the initial study and determination of consistency were not appropriately circulated for public comments, that the health risks, there's concerns with the health risk assessment, particularly with the vehicle trips, including 100 heavy vehicle trips, including some with top-mounted refrigerated units that would exacerbate significant impacts to sensitive receptors, including the adjacent school. There's also concern that the new analysis would warrant the preparation of a new EIR or negative declaration. As detailed in the response in the memo and also in the initial study and negative declaration, the project is within the scope of the 2000 Cisco Systems Site 6 EIR and the subsequent addenda for subsequent development, including the 2013 office development entitled on the site. Pursuant to the CEQA guidelines and statutes, section 15164, no public circulation is required for projects that are considered to be inconsistent with a prior prior environmental clearance, in this case, the Cisco Systems EIR. The health risk analysis conducted for the project, which shows that there would be no significant impacts resulting from construction of the project and operation. This analysis is included as part of the initial study. I also want to go back and mention that because this is a determination of consistency with a prior EIR, CEQA does not require public circulation. However, as part of the city's outreach process, the city did post the document on the city's website, notified interested parties. Prior to the first director's hearing, because there were some concerns raised prior to the director's hearing, the director's hearing was deferred by 1 week to allow the public more opportunity to review the document. Also want to mention that there's no new or exacerbated significant environmental impacts identified beyond those that were identified in the 2000 Cisco Systems EIR. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council conduct an administrative hearing to consider the environmental appeal of the determination of consistency and adopt a resolution denying the environmental appeal and upholding the planning director's determination of consistency with the Cisco System Site 6 EIR, and that the City Council has independently reviewed and analyzed the determination of consistency. The determination of consistency with the Cisco Systems EIR was prepared for the project in full compliance with CEQA and local guidelines. The determination of consistency represents the independent judgment and analysis of the city, and the preparation of a new environmental document is not required because the determination of consistency is thoroughly adequately analyzed. The project and environmental appeal does not raise any new significant issues beyond or already addressed. And so staff is here to answer any questions the council may have. We also have the environmental consultant on hand on virtual if there's any questions. And we are here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. All right, let's hear first from the appellant. And I believe the appellant has 5 minutes to speak collectively if there's multiple individuals.
Who's the appellant? I couldn't hear the name.
If you could use the microphone,
Use
please.
the microphone.
Marcos or Mark Espinoza?
Mark Espinoza. We just allowed him to talk.
Great. Welcome, Mr. Espinoza.
Good afternoon. This is Mark Espinoza, Alviso. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have 5 minutes to speak. Welcome.
Okay. And just confirming that staff and council members have received the 2 letters that were submitted. One was yesterday and one was this morning. I believe John to acknowledge that they were received. Not sure if staff.
Both letters were received today and forwarded to city clerk, which I believe city clerk forwarded to council.
Okay. So then I don't have to go over everything I said on the letter. Just going to briefly just describe that, historically, Alviso has been treated a lot differently than the rest of the city. We, again, are the burden of so much development, especially unwanted development. You know, we have dumps here, we have the water pollution plant, we have this energy plant, and soon the Microsoft data center. We have multiple industrial buildings around here. And furthermore, we have the light industrial district of Alviso that's been here for decades that has been in multiple violations that I have contacted city code enforcement regarding. I believe we have about 12 or 11 open cases, and they've been as old as 5 years ago. And there's been no resolution to any of these open cases. So just showing the evidence that how we're treated by code enforcement, how council just on and on again okay these developments without the regard of, you know, current studies, up to date analysis. Right now they're using the Bay Area Air Quality Management thresholds that are from 2010, so 12 years old, and you guys are relying on those to say that there's no significant impacts to the community and the school children that are across the street from this development. So I think because of that, this should not move forward. It should be developers should go back and you know, generate an EIR so we can get some real data and real impacts that are affecting the community. And I think that's all I can really say right now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Espinoza.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to members of the public.
I'm sorry, Mayor, the applicant speaks next. I
Oh,
believe.
yes. Thank you, Chris. Good point. We hear from the applicant now.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Baccio. I'm the CEO of Second Harvest of Silicon Valley. I'm here today with Diane Baker Hayward, who manages our community outreach, and Margot Bradish, our land use counsel. I'd like to thank the city for scheduling this hearing today. Since our founding in 1974, our mission has been simple: lead our community to ensure that anyone who needs a healthy meal can get one. Today, we remain committed to building a hunger-free community now and for the future. My slides do not seem to be advancing, but that is okay.
Oh, we got one.
We are the food bank that serves Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. We distribute free groceries to families through our network of over 300 partners at over 900 sites located throughout both counties. This includes schools, community centers, meal programs, low-income housing sites, and faith-based organizations. If you see food being provided by a nonprofit in either county, they are likely getting that food at no cost from Second Harvest. Even before COVID-19, we had a food insecurity crisis in Silicon Valley. Second Harvest was providing food to 250,000 people every month, as so many of our neighbors struggled to be able to meet their basic needs, like housing, and still afford food. When shelter in place went into effect in March of 2020, and so many people found themselves suddenly out of work and without any income, the need for our services skyrocketed. In a matter of weeks, we had to double the amount of food we were providing. The economic crisis created by the pandemic pushed many families deeper into poverty and caused others to seek food assistance for the very first time. The need has not gone away. In fact, Second Harvest is now serving over 450,000 people every month, 80% more than we were serving pre-pandemic. We've continued to provide almost double the amount of food to meet this need. We've done this through a number of temporary measures, like leasing a temporary facility, renting additional refrigerated trucks for storage, and having incredible staff who are solving complex logistical puzzles on the daily. But these emergency measures are inefficient and not sustainable for the long term. We know from decades of experience serving the community and responding to crises that it will take a long time for families to recover from the economic devastation of this pandemic. So we are anticipating providing this level of service for the foreseeable future. Our new home in Alviso will give us the opportunity to unify these complex and unsustainable operations and ensure food security for our community for the long term. Alviso is not new to Second Harvest. We have been working in Alviso for more than 30 years with our community partners, Our Lady Star of the Sea and Redemption Church, to distribute fresh, nutritious food directly to the community. We are excited to locate our new home in Alviso and look forward to being part of the community for decades to come. Here is a view from North First Street to give you a sense of the scale and architecture. Second Harvest's new home would be 2 single-story buildings connected by an administrative building with a mezzanine space. This is rather than the 3-story and 5-story buildings that are currently approved for the site. When food is delivered to the site, a combination of volunteers and staff unload, sort, and repack the food into boxes to go to our partner sites for distribution to the community. As is our model, we will not distribute food to members of the community at this site. This will be a distribution hub that will provide food to our more than 300 nonprofit partners and more than 900 distribution sites. And here is another view of the entry to the building. We appreciated the director's approval of the project and CEQA determination in May. The CEQA document is thorough, exhaustive, and complete, and we support the staff recommendation to deny the CEQA appeal before you today. Again, we are excited to locate our new home in the Alviso community we have served for decades, and we look forward to partnering with our neighbors and serving the community for years to come. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for the work of your team every day, particularly through this pandemic. All right, now we should go to the public.
Okay, I have Dick Svek and Toa Fatamala in person. Please come down and make your way to the microphone.
And I've been volunteering at the food bank since 1992 and am currently serving on the board as well as chairman of the finance committee. In January of 2020, we were serving 250,000 clients. The pandemic pushed that number to over 500,000 by the end of April. We immediately had to go lease another large warehouse in order to meet serving twice the food that we had been before. We also had to shift our operations and distribution model in order to meet that need. Also, with our volunteers sheltering in place during the pandemic, we could only meet that need because of help from the National Guard and the San Jose Conservation Corps. Earlier this year, we were serving 400,000 clients, and that number is now increasing due to the high rate of inflation. We currently operate out of 4 different warehouses, which is very inefficient. This new facility will allow us to combine those and be able to provide more nutritious, high-value food and produce to our clients. At this point in time, I'd like to urge the council to deny this appeal so we can start construction of the new building and be able to serve so many clients that are needing hunger and needing food to meet their hunger in this region. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Toa Fatamala. I am the Outreach Department Head at Redemption Church, DBA Jubilee Christian Center. We are actually located right around the corner from this new site. And for the last few years, Second Harvest has provided us with such blessing that I can't even begin to explain. During the pandemic, 2020, 2021, we distributed over 1.5 million pounds of food each year at that site with just 8 or 9 volunteers. But the food just kept coming because the need was great. And to half of Alviso, 48% of our clients are from Alviso. And they were very appreciative of all the food that we were getting from Second Harvest. They just didn't know it was coming from Second Harvest. But I'm here to say that thank to Second Harvest, thank you, Mayor Sam Liccardo, and all the city council members for allowing these services to continue for our people that are in need in our community. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Okay, moving to Zoom, JD Dunn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. I am representing several of my neighbors in Alviso who couldn't be here because the meeting was originally 6:30 and it got put into the middle of the workday. So it's not just me, but I need to say, first of all, Second Harvest is amazing and no one debates that it's valuable, including for our Alviso residents. And that was never the debate. It just needs to exist somewhere slightly different than this particular piece of property. The physical location of this warehouse is the problem, the only problem. The impact report is flawed, terribly flawed. It actually defies the laws of physics and warrants this appeal. And please don't let all of the fabulous work that Second Harvest does blind you to the fact that the location is not suitable. You've got 3 roads in and out of Alviso only. 2 of them are already completely covered in large trucks now and will continue to be, with the dump on one side and all of the construction down Gold Street. There's only one way in and out of Alviso that is not full of heavy vehicles already, and that is this first street. And it is our only way to get to the shops and businesses that serve Alviso. And this would complete 888 huge diesel belching trucks every single day, right in front of a school, a park, a library, a church, everything. And it would prevent emergency services getting there easily. It would prevent people getting to and from work who live in the community. Look, we're the bastard stepchild of San Jose. We have always been treated not like a real member of the community. We're already your trash bin. We're already your
Richard Santos?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, go
Hi,
ahead.
Dick, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, Mayor?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Alviso property owner and advocate over 54 years. I served on the master plan in Alviso from 1993 to 1998, along with 24 members of property owners and residents. And we all approved this construction and project. This is a 4-star architect. I had a chance to visit it, make sure I knew the traffic inside out. The people are wonderful. Last year alone, something like 240 turkeys during the holidays for all the families in Alviso, especially disadvantaged people. We got to remember the alternatives to this. This is a fantastic opportunity. And so I ask you to approve the project and deny this appeal, because the people behind this appeal, some of them take a look at it, self-serving for funding. So it's complimentary for the Alviso community, and I support it 100%.
Brian Darby?
First of all, thank you to Second Harvest. Appreciate that. And I have to echo what the lady said, that it just seems like there's a disconnect, and I haven't followed this too much, so, but I would plan on it. If there's 12 and it's not against Second Harvest, it's against other organizations over there. If there's open issues where people have made complaints and there hasn't been any resolution for years, one gentleman sounds like it's decades, there's something seriously wrong with planning and code enforcement. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything. There may be an organizational change that's needed, or to streamline these processes, because Alviso has been treated horribly. I was out there slinging sandbags during the floods, which was an exercise in futility. And they were just allowed that city to just get flooded out. And there was just, a little eye roll. And that really was about it. They didn't want to hear about it. And Alviso has been treated like that. And the people in Alviso have been treated like that. And people at the city council have even acknowledged that at times Alviso has been treated like that. That's the main reason I'm saying anything now. As for the project, I think Second Harvest needs to consolidate because they work their, boy, I'll tell you. And they saved lives. They saved people from starving to death in the Bay Area, literally. And that's not an exaggeration. They did. People would not be alive now without Second Harvest. And that says what they do. I just think we need to try to button up these situations so that people don't wait for decades for redressing their government for grievances. And thank you.
Araceli?
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Araceli Gonzalez, and I'm here to represent Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County. We have partnered with Second Harvest with over 27 sites from schools, churches, and we also do the home delivery. We do home delivery to many families out in Alviso. Since the pandemic, we've definitely seen the increase of well over the food security. Food security has always been, and any nonprofit can always see that there's always that food security. Food security, without Second Harvest, there's so many people out there that don't know what to do the next day. And with the help of Second Harvest, in true reality, people are staying in their homes, are being able to provide security for their kids with all the help from Second Harvest. The pandemic definitely has brought in the food security, not only at a city level, but at a state level as well. As you can see, with a great partnership with Second Harvest, we've been able to help so many, including delivering to Alviso in many places. With the approval of this new building will definitely help Second Harvest in accomplishment of so many hungry people out there. Again, my name is Araceli Gonzalez. I'm representing Catholic Charities, and I urge you to deny this appeal. Thank you.
Marcos?
Hello, dear City Council and Mayor. My name is Marcos Espinoza, and I am a Alviso resident. I oppose this development until there are more studies to determine the health and safety risk of this project. The current studies of the MND fail to mention the recently approved development of the Alviso Hotel, which will operate within 100 feet of this site. It also fails to mention the Alviso Community Park and 2 bus stops that operate on First Street in front of this site. Were any residents in Oak Crest Estates notified about this project due to their close proximity of being within 1,000 feet? Was this development proposal sent to the George Main staff so they could notify all the students' parents? The planning department claims that the Cisco EIR is sufficient to address any concerns of negative impacts. How can a study conducted in the year 2000 be used to justify this development and relieve any residents of their concerns? The study was done before the invention of the iPhone and many other technological advances that we have today. As a city who claims to be worried about the effects of pollution to our climate with initiatives like Climate Smart San Jose, why wouldn't you demand a new EIR for this site? An EIR that calculates the impacts of these developments and the cumulative impacts of new large-scale facilities around this site. Even as the planning directors determine this project is consistent with the 22-year-old 2000 Cisco EIR, the city has the full discretion to demand newer studies be conducted to ensure the safety and well-being of the Alviso community. Why does Alviso have to deal with this operation of Second Harvest while only receiving a fraction of its services to our community? Wouldn't this development be better in San Mateo, where it is closer to a larger proportion of the people they serve? As an Alviso resident who voiced my concerns about new developments and impacts of my community, I have come to realize I cannot count on my council members, and mayor to care about the impacts these projects cause. I cannot count on them to demand new data using today's technology to actually get a stronger understanding of the harmful cause of diesel exhaust, noise, and other effects on our sensitive receptors.
Back to council.
All right, returning to council. Questions from my colleagues. Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, I just have a few questions. First of all, for planning, this EIR relied on, or the study relied on an EIR from when Cisco was planning some high-rise buildings, office buildings on this spot. Is that correct?
Councilmember, that's correct.
So the conclusion is that the use and traffic impacts are at or below what would have been occurred if with the project as originally studied. Is that correct?
That's correct, but new studies were conducted to come to that conclusion.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Councilmember-
And then I know that there's the concern the community has is just beyond what Cisco's use was the truck traffic. So can you just address a little bit how the truck traffic fits in and how it was studied?
Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Cohen. So I do want to mention there was a statement made that there would be 888 truck trips. That is false. There's actually 888 daily vehicle trips, of which 100 would be truck trips. This is less than half the trip generation that was anticipated back in 2013, the two office buildings that were entitled for the same site. The truck traffic was evaluated in the health risk assessment that was prepared to support the determination of consistency, and that found that there would be no significant impacts, not even close significant impacts to the near sensitive receptors, which is across First Street, which is the residence, and also the George Main Elementary School. So because there's no identified significant impacts, therefore there's no mitigation that is required, no new mitigation that is required.
Okay, thank you. Just want to ask a little bit of another question, follow-up question on the truck trips. I don't know if it's for you, but maybe it's for the applicant. There are 100 trips a day, which are spaced out over a number of hours, I assume. Can you just talk a little bit about the number of trips per hour that you anticipate at the site?
Yeah, I would defer to the applicant for that
I
question.
think she's.
Good afternoon, Mayor Liccardo and members of the council. My name is Margot Bradish of Cox Castle and Nicholson. I'm honored to be here today as part of the Second Harvest team representing the important work they do in San Jose and in the community. The documentation that was completed for this project to assess the difference between this project and the previous original Cisco EIR, as well as the subsequent addenda that have been done over the years, is done based on San Jose methodology, and it looks at, from a traffic standpoint, both peak hour trips. It's done, as explained in the staff report, using the level of service methodology that was used for pipeline projects. And so that looks at the peak hour trips. Those trips were indicated in the traffic assessment, which would have included the truck trips as well as the vehicle trips. The health risk assessment looks at a lifetime of exposure, so the time of day isn't really critical to the health risk assessment because it's looking at total exposure over a lifetime for a resident or over the number of days and hours at school for a student. And so the total trips are represented in those analyses, which concluded that there wouldn't be significant impacts from either perspective. That in terms of your specific question, the truck trips do vary on a daily basis depending on where food is coming from, when it needs to come to the site, when it's leaving the site. So we can't pinpoint, a specific number of trucks per hour, but that wouldn't have changed the results of the analysis.
Right. And that number, if we spread it out, is a few trips, maybe trips every 5 to 10 minutes, not constant flow of truck traffic going down the road. I mean, I'm just trying to understand the spacing. I mean, there was a comment about traffic getting to 237, right, on First Street, but we're talking about one truck every 10 minutes. It's not a constant flow. I guess you just want to confirm that.
Yeah.
David?
And Councilmember Cohen, I could say the table 1 of the local transportation analysis, which is included in the packet. Okay. That actually it's on the website that's linked to from your packet. Shows the distribution throughout the day, and table 1 shows the distributed truck trips averaging about approximately 3 to 4 per hour, and then going to about 10 between 5 to 6 p.m. So it varies throughout the day, but it's not like 20 trips all at the same time. It is well distributed throughout the day.
And there is a commitment for the trucks to only come from the south and leave to the south, so that they wouldn't be going past any residences or in through the Alviso community. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then right now, there's a number of trucks already exiting and entering at 237 and First Street because of the distribution center that's already south on First Street, right? So there's a number of, there's not, the additive effect of the number of trucks entering 237 at First Street is pretty low, I think, right? Because of the trucks coming into the current First Street distribution center?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So I think it's important also just to point out that this isn't brand new truck traffic at the First Street 237 interchange, that there's already truck traffic for your current site, which would close when this site opens. I just want to kind of confirm that point, but I think pretty clear. And then just one other question. How many community outreach meetings were held during this process?
There was one official community meeting outreach, but I do believe there were unofficial as well as staff talked to various members at non-community meetings.
Right, okay.
Yes, if you'd like to hear more about the Second Harvest Community Outreach, I'd like to invite Diane Hayward from Second Harvest to come speak to that.
Thank you. I actually was just in Alviso yesterday meeting with a group of residents. We did have a neighborhood meeting. We've participated in multiple community events. We've met with Santa Clara Unified School District with multiple individuals there. We've met with leaders at the school across the street and have remained open and willing to talk to community members as they reach out to us.
Right, and met with the neighborhood association, I know, at least once.
Yes.
Right, as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. I guess I'll make a motion, but I'll just comment too. I was involved in several of those community outreach meetings. They were very engaging to the community. Were open to the to the input of the community, and I believe that they've been a good neighbor and will be a good neighbor in that area. I want to also just address the comment I heard about Alviso being underrepresented or underappreciated. I hope that we're making a difference in Alviso and addressing the concerns of Alviso community, but I think that having a service that will bring community-minded and volunteer-minded people into the area will actually be good for that community as well, having people, in addition to the new businesses that are coming into the south part of Alviso. But I want to make a motion to deny the appeal and allow the project to move forward.
All right, motion from Councilmember Cohen, second. I think it was Councilmember Esparza. Okay. Councilmember Perales.
Yeah, thank you. I'm curious, I haven't been to any of the neighborhood association meetings, so a question maybe for yourself, Councilmember Cohen. A concern that was brought to my attention from constituents there in the Alviso area was not directly tied to this development itself, but to the cumulative total of the developments in one sort of, I think, odd coincidence, which is, I believe there's a correlation, but all the development that is occurring out there, the community over the last couple of years has started to experience a lot more rats and ground squirrels and sort of what they believe is a disbursement from sort of what was some of the open space out there as the new developments are coming into the community itself. And so this isn't something I think that that this development it would be held accountable for, that we'd ask Second Harvest to be a participant, but maybe, right, as far as a cumulative partnership on how to address that if indeed we determine, yeah, that looks like that's an issue. I don't know if you've heard that yet, but I would just be interested in sort of what that might look like to partner with all the different, I think Google's out there right now as well doing a little development, right? And so just what that might look like. My understanding is it started slowly with the major Topgolf development, and then now has sort of just continued and maybe even gotten worse. So I don't know if you've heard it or if you have an idea on how to proceed.
Well, I haven't heard that specific concern about the scattering of rodents or other things in the area. I don't know about that one, but I will say that the cumulative effect of this project is small compared to some of the other projects. So I don't, in my opinion, this is the project to be least concerned about. I mean, I understand the cumulative effect. We did have a discussion a couple weeks ago about the hotel. That's why, I mean, I was very interested in the discussions that Audubon Society had with them, and happy that they worked that out amongst themselves before we had that discussion here at council. But, you know, there were some concerns I had until that was resolved about that project. The Google project, which is just across from this project, they're going to bring 3,000 employees onto that campus that was built years ago. The campus was built by Cisco. All the buildings are existing, so it's not a development project. They're just moving into the buildings. You know, there's pluses and minuses to extra employees in an area. The impact of those people will be far greater than the impact of people coming into Second Harvest, in my opinion. However, they'll also, I think, hopefully allow that community to reopen some of the restaurants and other things that have, you know, suffered in the last few years and are closing. So I'm optimistic that there'll be a net positive for having more people there. The good news is, again, that the inflow and outflow is down at the 237 side south from there and not north. But the question that you asked specifically, I can't say if I've heard about or addressed.
Okay, yeah, my encouragement was to the community there to then see if there's an opportunity, right, to work together with. I felt your office would probably be best, considering it's going to be hard to pinpoint this onto any, you know, one particular development, but to see if there's a correlation. And then more importantly, the reason I'm bringing it up today, to see if there is a collaborative effort, right, to maybe to help to address, if indeed it looks like, yeah, you know, hey, that could be a reason for some of this increase, then I think the request would then be to some of the partners, like, you know, Second Harvest, if they're coming in, and other partners in the area. I think, you know, your office would be the best, right? So that's why I wanted to just bring it up here today. I'm completely comfortable with this project. I do think, though, that there is cumulative impact, whether it's with this or other impacts, as you brought up earlier, the traffic, all that, so that they come along with this much development year after year in an area. And so, nonetheless, I think I'll continue to encourage them to work with your office on that.
Thank you. Actually, this leaves one more question I wanted to ask the applicant about their trucks, because I had heard about the environmental responsibility of Second Harvest in terms of the kinds of trucks and the cleanliness of the trucks that you're committed to over time. So if you have somebody who can answer that question, because obviously the primary concern that I'm hearing out of this complaint is potential air quality impacts from truck traffic in that area.
Sure, I can just answer that all of our trucks are already up to the 2030 air standards. And on our trucks, they are set so that we immediately shut them off when they get to our site, but they shut off automatically after 5 minutes, so there's no idling. And then our refrigeration units plug in, so they're electrical, which really reduces both the noise and emissions.
Yeah, I appreciated learning that before, and I thought it was an important thing for people to understand about the responsibility of what you're doing and minimizing impacts on the community. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. I just had one question related to the 24-hour operations. I didn't see that on the initial objection raised by the appellant, but I know it's been raised since. And I guess, I know staff's responded previously. I'm just trying to understand clearly staff's position on this. Is it that this was already studied and cleared under the prior project, or is it the fact that there would not be significant impacts because these trucks are not going to be driving in residential areas?
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, there's no change to the conclusion with the impact. It will not change the impact conclusions with the 24-hour operation, especially you know, since most of the operation is already occurring during daytime.
Okay. And was this studied and cleared previously, or is it simply deemed to be not an impact because of the location of travel?
Yeah, it's not an impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. All right, any other questions? I'm going online here now to see if any of my colleagues, I don't see any hands. So let's vote on the motion to deny from Councilmember Cohen.
Yes. Jimenez?
Aye.
Peralez?
Yes.
Cohen?
Aye.
Crosco? Davis?
Yes.
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Mahan?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Liccardo?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 10.4 5 is administrative hearing on appeal of planning director's determination consistency with the initial study and mitigated negative declaration on the site on South Winchester Boulevard. There's a hotel and an approval of a special use permit. We will have a presentation, I believe. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Again, Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. Just give me a sec while we get this one up. And just as we get going, so as you mentioned, this is an administrative appeal of a special use permit and an appeal of the environmental determination for a property located at 1212 to 1224 South Winchester Boulevard. Just as a quick reminder, obviously this project has been in part before council before. So back in January 11th of this year, we were bringing forward two concurrent items, a conforming rezoning for the site and a special use permit that was actually dropped by request of the applicant. And the approval of that project, approval of the rezoning at that time included the adoption of an initial study mitigated negative declaration in conformance with SEQA. So then later in March of this year, we brought forward the special use permit to director's hearing, which is the typical hearing where that would be approved. Staff approved that project. We received an appeal on the environmental determination on March 28th, and then received a subsequent appeal on the special use permit itself on April 1st. So just to remind you of the project location, the site is located on the east side of South Winchester Boulevard between Payne and Fireside. It is designated neighborhood community commercial in the Winchester Urban Village Plan. It's a roughly 0.7 gross acre site. The project is a special use permit to allow a hotel, which would include 119 rooms. It's a roughly 107,000 square foot project that's 6 stories. It does include a 49% parking reduction in conjunction with an approved TDM plan, as well as alternative parking arrangement, which includes vehicle stackers as part of the project. It's worth noting that a hotel use is permitted within the CP zoning district, consistent with the project. So, as far as the actual permit appeal, some of the issues raised by the appellants included inconsistency with the general plan, the urban village plan, and the land use designation of neighborhood community commercial, inconsistency with the applicable development standards, compatibility of building height, fire safety, building division, project review, pedestrian cycle safety, guest and valet drop-off, security concerns, traffic congestion, as well as the lack of parking and trash pickup operations. Just to highlight some of staff's responses to the appeal that are outlined in the staff report. With regards to the land use and planning issues, the project is consistent with all of the applicable provisions in the general plan, the Winchester Urban Village Plan, and the CP zoning district. As far as the review from the fire department and the building division within PBCE, while both those departments comment on land use applications, technically the applicable review for both of those codes occurs at issuance or through the review and issuance of a building permit. So many of those pieces will come through. Really, their review at this point is preliminary site review, just to understand any implications that the development may have. From a parking perspective, the project is located within the urban village and is therefore eligible for a parking reduction of up to 50% when it implements a subsequent TDM plan. The project includes the construction of a 20-foot sidewalk along the front of South Winchester Boulevard. And so with regards to pedestrian and bicycle safety, the applicants also conditioned to install an audible warning signal at the garage entrance. And with regards to pickup and drop-off operations, all of those parking, loading, and pickup operations would occur entirely within the building footprint. There'd be a valet on site who'd be responsible for parking the vehicles in the stackers. And that would provide us adequate space within the garage for rideshare, pickup, drop-off, and turnaround. With regards to security, the hotel would have staff on site at all times, as well as cameras integrated into the project. The environmental review. So in addition to the appeal on the permit, we received an appeal on the environmental review. Just to remind you, we prepared an initial study and a mitigated negative declaration that was circulated for public review in May of last year. The initial study concluded that the proposed project would not result in any significant and unavoidable impacts with the implementation of the identified mitigation measures, which included air quality, biological resources, hazards and hazardous materials, and noise. So again, a reminder that the City Council adopted that mitigated negative declaration through their actions related to the rezoning back in January of this year. The special use permit that went forward in March actually used what we call a determination of consistency. So it looked at the prior CEQA clearance and said that the project that was being approved was consistent with that. And it's the determination of consistency that's technically appealed under this action. So within the appeal, some of the issues that have been raised or that were cited in the letters relate to the inconsistency with the general plan designation and the urban village plan. Again, fire safety, pedestrian bicycle safety, guest and valet drop-off, traffic, the rooftop solar, the MMRP, hotel operations, and the impervious coverage. Just to outline some of, again, staff's responses that were included in the memo. From a land use and planning perspective, as we already covered, it's consistent with the applicable land use plans in the area. From a process and administrative standpoint, the impacts and mitigations for the project were appropriately disclosed in the publicly circulated mitigated negative declaration that was adopted by the City Council. And then with regards to the transportation, the project didn't require a full transportation analysis because it meets the city's VMT screening criteria for this area. So, staff's recommendation before the council is to adopt the determination of consistency for the mitigated negative declaration, adopt a resolution denying the environmental appeal, and upholding the determination of consistency with the previously approved adopted South Winchester Hotel project, and then adopting a resolution denying the permit appeal and approving, subject to conditions, the special use permit to allow the demolition of the 2 existing commercial buildings, the removal of 9 trees, and the construction of an approximately 107,000 square foot, 119 room hotel with a 49% parking reduction and alternative parking arrangement. From a community engagement standpoint, just to highlight, a community meeting was held on August 10th of 2020 with the initial review of the project. Again, many of the concerns that were raised through both appeals were highlighted through those meetings. In addition to questions and concerns regarding shade and shadow impacts. Additional meetings were held between the applicant and the neighborhood group, which our staff did attend. And in addition, an on-site sign was posted in front of the project. And with that, I believe staff is available for questions.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the applicant first. I'm sorry, the appellant?
The appellant,
Thank you. I always get that messed up. Let's go to the appellant.
Shihana McCargan is do you see her?
What was the name again?
Shihana?
What's the first letter?
S.
I'm not seeing that person online.
She's here in person.
Yay.
Even better. Welcome.
Honorable Mayor, City Council members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Shahana Maraka. I live in the single-family home right next door to the proposed hotel. That will be, the hotel's right here. That's our home, which we've called home for 30 years. As a resident of San Jose, I support the goals and aspirations of Envision San Jose 2040. I understand the city's goals for revenue, for job growth, and housing. As I support Envision San Jose 2040 and the Winchester Urban Village Plan. When the urban villages were being planned, we as residents were promised pedestrian-friendly walkways, open spaces, and community gathering spaces. These 2 blocks of shallow lots on Winchester Boulevard with a land use designation of neighborhood community commercial were intended to be commercial activity that supports and serves the neighborhood and the community. These would be typically retail establishments that the community could support and in turn generate revenue for the city. So, and this hotel does not serve the neighborhood in the way the urban village plan intended. I urge the city council to follow the guidelines that are laid out in the Winchester Urban Village Plan. It clearly states, and I present, this is from the Winchester Urban Village Plan, that hotels are most suited around the 280 freeway north of Moore Park Avenue. So not south of that, which is where we live. The proposed 6-story hotel would be a mere 6 feet. 6 feet, I repeat, 6 feet from our home. Just imagine that. In your 1-story single-family home and a 6-story building 6 feet from you, just rising up like that. That's what I have to imagine right now. And the design documents show the subterranean garage would be all the way to our property line. So that comes even closer. And I'm thinking when they start excavating for that, what happens to our foundation if it's coming all the way to our property line? We brought up concerns about the damage from vibration levels, which exceed the city's limits during construction. These issues have not been addressed. According to design documents, garbage disposal positioned on the north side of the proposed project, right adjacent to our home. Even though city staff, in their response to our initial concerns, said that the garbage disposal would be on the south side of the proposed hotel, away from single-family residences. Maintenance of commercial dumpsters abutting a single-family home has not been addressed with regards to pest and rodent control and its impact on the health of the neighbors. During the initial phase of the ISM&D, we raised concerns about the shadow that will be cast on our home during the fall and winter months. And it was dismissed by city staff as minimal with no mitigation required. Fire safety is a huge concern for us. Being only 6 feet from the proposed hotel, there are no fire lanes for this proposed hotel on the north, south, and the rear of the hotel. So the only fire lane would be on Main Winchester. And fire hose paths, I guess, are planned for the rest of the perimeter. We all saw what happened at Home Depot a few months ago and what kind of an effort was needed to fight that fire. Most of us in the neighborhood lived through the Santana Row fire in the early 2000s, and there were embers in our yards from 1.5 miles away. I'm horrified to think of what would happen to the neighborhood if there was a fire at this hotel. Due to the severe drought, a lot of us in the neighborhood have brown lawns and dry brush. Embers from a fire could ignite the whole neighborhood. The lack of a study on fire safety and gaining the required variance before project approval, if not anything else, is negligence on the part of those responsible. Given these factors and several others, I request that you grant our appeal so that a further extensive study can be done on the environmental impacts of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's go now to the applicant.
Is that David?
It would be Adam Masari, unless he had somebody else speak on his behalf.
Mayor Liccardo, am I permitted to remove my mask?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, for purpose of speaking.
Thank you. So good afternoon, Mayor Liccardo, members of the council. I'm Bart Heckman, Land Use Counsel for A&Z Development, the applicant here. With me here in the audience is Dr. Adam Mascari on behalf of A&Z, and also with us by Zoom is the project land use consultant, Henry Cord. So our request today is that the City Council follow staff's recommendation to deny both appeals and uphold the planning director's approval of the CEQA determination of consistency with the mitigated negative declaration you adopted in January and the special use permit for this hotel project. I submitted a letter last week. I hope you and your staffs have had time to review it. I want to highlight key aspects of that letter here in my remarks. The issues before you on the appeal are really quite narrow. First, regarding the determination of consistency, are there any changes to the project from what you approved in the mitigated negative declaration in January? If not, CEQA requires that you use a determination of consistency. Here, the hotel project is the exact same project described in the mitigated negative declaration. There have been no changes since that was presented to you and approved in January. So CEQA doesn't permit us to revisit your decision from January or to require more studies of environmental nature. Turning to the special use permit, staff states the question well in their detailed staff report. Have the appellants provided facts that negate the special use permit findings? Staff examined this exhaustively in the staff report and concluded that the answer is no. The items raised in the appeal were all raised in the processing of the application and considered by you, the City Council, when you approved the CEQA document and the rezoning back in January of this year. Turning to project consistency, again, this is fully addressed in the staff report. Back in January, you specifically found that this hotel project would not adversely impact, would not have any adverse impacts on your land use and planning regulation. That's finding K in the mitigated negative declaration, which is Exhibit H to the staff report. So I want to focus my remaining time on the interface between this hotel project and the neighborhood behind it. As each of you know, general plans constitute the blueprint for a city's growth. But there are frequently growing pains in implementing general plans because people usually like the way things are and they want to keep them that way. So how do you account for neighborhood concerns in implementing your general plan? The answer in the city's code is through a community meeting where neighbors can raise their concerns and the applicant can hear them and consider changes to the project to address them. Regarding this hotel project, A&Z Development hosted 11 community meetings, 10 more than required. And through those 11 meetings, the applicant listened and made the following significant revisions to the hotel. They removed the swimming pool. They removed the balconies facing the residential neighbors, relocated all activities to face Winchester, removed the windows facing residential neighbors, increased side yard setbacks on both sides from the allowed 0-foot setback to a 5-foot setback. They removed the rooftop restaurant, and they are willing to voluntarily dedicate land in excess of the exaction the city can lawfully require based on project impacts for a third lane of Winchester and a 20-foot wide sidewalk that help address vehicular and pedestrian traffic concerns. That is the kind of reaction that the city should want from its applicants who are implementing the City Council's vision as expressed in the general plan. Here, that process, community meetings, listening, reacting, resulted in a better project for the city and for the neighborhood. For those reasons and those stated in the staff report, we ask that you deny both appeals, and I ask to reserve any remaining time I have for rebuttal if that's allowed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heckman. Okay, let us, first, I should ask the appellant, would you like any time for response? I think we have time within the 5 minutes. Let me just check with Tony. No, we don't. Okay, I'm sorry.
She used the full 5.
She did. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Marikar. I believe that is the time. No, I'm sorry. My apologies for bothering you. Okay, let's go to the public.
Okay, I have several speakers, so I'm going to call a few names. Come directly down to the microphone. First person to the microphone, get there. Tell me your first name and go ahead and start speaking. I have David Bowman, Mike Miller, Ron Cincelli and Herman Socio. I apologize if I have mispronounced names. Go ahead.
Members of the City Council, good afternoon. My name is David Bowman. I work with a firm called New Gen Advisory. We're not even involved in this project. Part of my job is to convince investors to develop commercial real estate in California. I urge you to let this project move forward. This city in its wisdom put together an urban village plan, which outlines very specifically what developers need to do to develop commercial property in this city. This particular project, from what I've seen, has followed everything to the letter, checked every box, crossed every T, dotted every I. No variances. He's donating 1/3 of the land to the city. He's done everything right. He spent 3 years and millions of dollars on this project. Now, it's not just this project. People are watching what's going on here. I have lots of clients that are developers and investors, and I want to make them feel comfortable about investing in California commercial real estate. It's a daunting task. We're being outcompeted by other states all the time, and I'm losing more battles than I'm winning, but we really need a win here today. We need to show the outside world that if a developer comes to town, they follow all the rules, they make the investment, they do the right thing, that they're going to be able to advance with their project and do something that's really good for the community. This will have a positive economic impact on the area. So selfishly, please don't make my job harder. It's hard enough recruiting investors to this state that I love so dearly, but we can make it easier by saying, hey, look what happened in.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Yes.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Miller. I am speaking in support of Dr. Ascari. I'm a commercial real estate broker, but I'm not involved with this project. I'm really speaking in support of the urban village plan, similar to what the last gentleman said. We as brokers count on these concepts when we look at certain areas of San Jose where we try to create excitement for development. And when we see projects like this that adhere to those requirements, then it makes it difficult for us if those get denied. We want to be able to go forward with confidence that the parameters that you've set with the urban village plan are something that we can count on and expect and make our clients aware of as we try to have some of these projects built that plan was intending. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Also, Adam Ascari and Bill Rothman, come on down.
Hi, Ron Caselli. We're a developer broker people, and I want to speak in behalf of Dr. Ascari and this project. I mean, the city spends a decade developing an urban plan, and it gets so complicated over time that you have to actually hire Eric Schoenhauer or Mattioni's office to figure if you can get this project through or not. And we get down to saying, okay, fine, it looks good. And we go ahead and we make the purchase price to make it happen. Then we get through with that after they've had all these meetings out there with all the citizens about what's going on, and they're putting this urban project into a homeowners area. And you know there's a lot of complaints coming in. And at the same time, they voice all their complaints. And the same time that gets done, it all gets overridden and they say, that's what we want to do and go ahead. So, I mean, it seems like a fairly simple solution that once you make a plan, you stick by it. You don't start wavering and say, what about this or what about that? You don't want to go out and spend money to buy something and then find out after you've been told it's okay that, quote unquote, it's no longer okay. So those are my comments, and you've heard the others as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you, Mayor Ligardo and Mayor Vice Mayor Jones and fellow City Council members and city staff for your time this afternoon. My name is Herman Susilo with Coldwell Banker George Realty. I come all the way from LA actually this morning. And thank you for allowing me to give my perspective view as a real estate professional on this project. When Urban Village Plan was approved by the City Council a few years back, actually we as a real estate professional are very excited and we're very supported for the brilliant ideas of this one. And we worked so hard to sell this urban village idea to our investor clients. I recall some names on the city council members on that plan booklet was Mr. Jones, Mr. Oliverio, and Ms. Davis. At that time, we were thinking like, wow, we need more people like these people to be our city council members to bring more growth to our cities. As a result of our hard work as realtors, we finally able to get investor clients to invest in the project of this urban village. And you know, as a realtor, one of our most important job is to earn trust from our client, right? And they need us to bring reliable service, reliable information continuously to earn their trust. Without trust, we cannot have any client come to us to make a multi-million-dollar purchases. They cannot invest in anything. And without trust, we also cannot have repeat business. So when we heard about the difficulty of approval of this project, we are very surprised. And because even right now, I have several other investors who are watching this project and they want to see if there is a proof that the city is backing up this project before they want to continue and move on with their investment. So I sincerely hope that the city council will give unanimous approval to this project so that to show them that the whole city is backing up.
Thank you. Next speaker. Also Jason T. Patrick Galena. Please make your way down. Go ahead.
From the investors, actually. About a year and a half after we submitted all the packages to the city, and I saw there are a handful of neighbors that are unhappy, I went to the city council and I said, what if instead of 6-story hotel, we do 6-story condominium? The city council said, if majority approve it, support the project, I'll go along with it. So I talked to Cassidy at Mr. Jones' office. I said, let's talk to the neighbors. Instead of 6-story hotel that you don't like, let's do 6-story condominium. When she put it together and I talked to her, and that's her email to me, she said they're not supporting condominium. Hotel is just respectful, it's excuse, is get a wider audience. They don't want urban village. And my very last meeting, very last meeting, 3 months ago, I said to them, how about a 5-story, not 6, senior citizen condominium? I thought they're gonna jump on this, even though it was not supported by planning department. They still said no. So if today I had a 5-story condominium, senior citizen, the answer is no. So the issue is urban village, not the hotel. It's not. And that's shocking that I can get investors from Los Angeles, from North Carolina to come and invest here. I had 4 projects already. This is my 5th one. After this, we haven't started any project because we're nervous about it. I cannot go to my investors in LA or North Carolina and tell them San Jose is open for business. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Bill Rothman. Thank you for the time to speak today. I'm here from Denver, Colorado. Our group has been working with Dr. Ascari for the past year, not just to bring ourselves in, but also see if there would be interest from national hotel brand partners. Those brand partners have expressed considerable interest in not only this development, but San Jose plan. And we're hopeful that this council will allow this project to move forward. I think that Dr. Ascari and his group have shown a strong commitment to working with the community through 11 meetings. They've gone past their plan requirements, and I think that it would be a very exciting project if it's allowed to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, sorry. Hello, my name is Jason. I am a hotel operator and developer. I am also an ambassador for the Asian American Hotel Owner Association and a franchisee of many national hotels such as Marriott, Hilton, Choice, and other brands. The hotel that we operate, we try to strengthen the communities because we see the importance of community involvement. In development, we listen to our community and be sensible to them. In every construction, we conduct studies and ensure a project success because every project is different and have different needs. We use modern technology in construction to help build project efficiently and minimize disruption to its neighbors, such as modulars or panelization. In project such as Winchester, we are excited to see that the urban village planning is happening slowly, but it's happening. And there is a witness as we drive down Winchester. And we see that it's a great success to the city and it's a great achievement, but we want to continue to see that vision happening and the growth to continue. Therefore, we're hoping to see this hotel as a successful project and a witness to your vision that you have planned upon the city. Once again, we thank you for this minute and talking. That's it.
Okay, I'd also like to call up Shahana, Tom Mormon, Jeff Williams, and Gail Mormon. Please come on down and go ahead, next speaker.
Hello. The project plan has undergone some changes after the transportation analysis was completed. The hotel plans used by Hexagon Consultants had the drop-off, pick-up, valet, and truck areas on Winchester Boulevard. Even before the revision, the analysis stated that there will be brief moments of vehicles exiting and entering the parking garage, blocking the sidewalks. Later, in the current plans, all these drop-off areas, all ride-sharing services were moved into garage. So if we applied all these numbers that were presented by Hexagon, there will be cars crossing front sidewalk every 54 seconds during morning peak hour and every 48 seconds during the evening peak hour. That does not even take into consideration the delivery trucks that are going to be backing out of the same across the same sidewalk. Neither does it include the number of cars that were originally supposed to be coming and going out of that garage. That area has a Castlemont Elementary School, Monroe Middle School, and subacute nursing facility in a very close proximity to the proposed hotel. Vehicles crossing the sidewalk at that rate would create an unsafe environment for children, elderly, and disabled, and also bicyclists. It definitely does not support urban village vision of pedestrian and bicycle-friendly neighborhood. So I urge you to approve the appeal and try to come up with a project that better suits the community. And in addition, I would like to say that neighbors do support urban village, just would like to see something that would fit community better. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call the names again. When I call your name, please go ahead and line up so we have a lot of speakers online as well. Again, I have Shahana, Tom Mormon, Jeff Williams, Gail Mormon, Harry Misty, and Brian Matsumoto. It doesn't matter what order you get into, just first person to the microphone. Just say your first name so I know which card is speaking. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Jeff Williams. We, the members of the community, strongly feel that the number of workers on site that was used in the parking reduction calculation is materially understated, which also means that the parking reduction request is also materially understated. How do we know this? Pretty simple. The developer tells us so right in the operations plan at the footnote of page 2. The staffing plan is intended to minimize employee parking to no more than 10 spaces. If the number's more than 10, the math doesn't work, and they would be in violation of the city parking code and would not have a parking reduction request that would qualify. There are 3 obvious examples on the operations plan. The first, there are 3 housekeepers being assigned to the afternoon shift, which means approximately 25% of the rooms in this hotel would not be serviced and available for occupancy until after 9 p.m. at night. Again, that's after 9 p.m. The industry standard is 4 o'clock. The 3 housekeepers were purposely shifted, we believe, so they could meet the number 10. They should be part of the morning shift so they can meet industry standards of 4 o'clock. The second thing, on the transportation analysis, Hexagon recommends 2 to 3 parking valets to address the volume of cars coming in. In the plan, there is only 1 valet in the morning and 1 valet in the evening. With that, cars will be backing up and causing safety issues on Winchester Boulevard. There need to be additional valets added to be in compliance with the transportation analysis. In the TDM plan that's attached, it clearly states that they will provide a guest shuttle service for occupants. However, there's no guest shuttle driver in the plan. So that needs to be addressed as well. So if you look at this.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm Gail Mormon. I am a 40-year plus resident of District 1, and I attended a lot of the Winchester Urban Village planning meetings from the very beginning. Our group believes in, our neighborhood believes in the Winchester Urban Village plan as described as bringing in business and revenue to San Jose, but businesses having a connection to the local community, being pedestrian friendly and bike friendly, and having green spaces. The Winchester Urban Village plan mentions an appropriate location for hotels near Moore Park and 280, which is the Urban Village commercial area, as opposed to these 2 small lots that are adjacent to this convalescent hospital at 1212 and 1224 Winchester, and that is zoned, or land use is neighborhood community commercial. We're concerned also about the 43-foot long driveway that was created because parking drop-off loading zone couldn't be on the street. So this extended 43 feet of sidewalk is going to be crossed by multiple vehicles constantly throughout the day. People coming in to check in, people leaving, and all the vehicles involved in supplies. So those are among our concerns. Also, I wanted to address the fact that by the time the community was involved, there was no rooftop restaurant to be contended with. We never heard about balconies being removed. We never heard about windows being removed. We were offered trees on balconies for privacy. That's it. We did hear about a 5-story senior housing building, which would have possibly been acceptable, but we were told to have that, we needed to have all the residents sign a document and have it attached to our property deeds.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Oh, hello, my name is Brian Matsumoto, and I'm a resident that will have the backyard, with the hotel area. And one of our main concerns, well, first of all, I just wanted to say that we agree with, development, and we're not just against the hotel just because of the, development, but It's more the lot size. And so, they have a big structure within the lot size. And then it's like, as my colleagues had mentioned, like 20 feet in the back and only 6 feet on the side. So basically taking up the whole lot. And so we just kind of like looked at various businesses, and all the other businesses have access to the rear. And so, it's like for parking and stuff, and especially for fire. And so I was just concentrating on, it says a variance must be approved prior to planning. And so, what happened is that it said that the project may proceed to a hearing prior to the approval of fire variance. And so it was mentioned about, changing plans and stuff. And so there's one concern to me is like, it will proceed, and then what if the fire variance says that you need to change something, or, and then you would need to go back to an architect. I don't know. I was just thinking that it'd be best to have a fire variance already before, proceeds. And fire safety is one of the, like a non-negotiable thing. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Wow. Strangle myself before I get started. My name is Tom Werman. I'm a resident of District 1, Hammond Park. I first of all want to thank you for this opportunity to be here. I know this is an awkward position. The city staff is recommending that you have to do this. The city attorney says you have to do it. The attorneys here say you have to do it. We're asking you not to do it. So I understand the situation that you're in. Vice Mayor Jones is our District 1 council member. He's been extremely patient with us, listening. We all appreciate that. You've been supportive, and you've encouraged us to stay involved as citizens, and that we respect you for that. This is a difficult situation for you and for us. My wife mentioned that the concessions that were, that the attorney's letter cited, we knew nothing about these things. That was negotiated with the city. All these things about removing a swimming pool. There was never a swimming pool that we were presented with. They were not concessions. I think Dr. Ascari will, Adam, I think you will agree with that. And a rooftop restaurant, there was never a rooftop restaurant on the plans that we were given. You can go back and check the original plan. It's not there. So all of this must have been done before they ever hit the community. So that's number one. Dr. Ascari did come up with a reasonable alternative that was of interest. When in the last meeting, he proposed a 6-story hotel with, a 5-story hotel. I said, I'll come down a 4. That was a concession. That was a concession. We appreciated that. Not only that, he said, we'll do mixed use, because that's what maybe has a better chance of flying with the city. Mixed use, senior condos, and it'll be less. Seniors don't take up as much, it's not as intense as a hotel. Makes sense. That caught our interest. But then he said, because he doesn't trust us, these people are against everything. Sorry. I think that's the interpretation. The fear is that you have to get everybody to agree. No opposition. You have to sign an agreement that will be drawn up by my attorney, and you have the right to get your own attorney to review it, or you can use mine if you want to save some money.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Welcome. Hello. Honorable Mayor and all the council members. I am Perry, chemical engineer in high-tech manufacturing, high-volume manufacturing, with the experience in seawater desalination in the Middle East, India, and about 25 years in Silicon Valley. I would like to say that all these issues which are raised over here, I'm requesting the mayor and all the 10 council members to develop a plan based on no district left behind. San Jose City with 1.1 million population, it has 10 districts. San Jose is 10 times bigger than Mountain View. So there are 10 times more opportunities over here. If the investors are coming to San Jose City and all the council members should support the investors. We have the best noise pollution consultants in Silicon Valley. So they should be also taken on board so that many issues are taken care of before this meeting. And any delay in the project is a loss to the investor as well as it is a loss to the city also, because the city will not get the revenues. So I request, I work on greenhouse gas emission reduction. So that should be, the ultimate aim should be clean power, clean water, and clean air. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was my last speaker card in person. I'm going to move to Zoom. The first speaker is BSO Rowdy.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Bruce Cerruti, and I'm the principal at Maxim Enterprises. We are a real estate company based in Beverly Hills, California. First, I want to make it clear that we have no involvement with the proposed development, and we do not stand to gain or lose no matter what your decision is today. We are currently in escrow to acquire another property in San Jose for an apartment building development. And what is happening here is very concerning to us. We in the development community rely on the written code of a municipality, in this case, the city of San Jose, for our decision to invest millions of dollars in a property. We rely on the rules and regulations as spelled out in the code on what is or isn't allowed in order to determine what a property is worth. If those written rules and regulations are not reliable, developers will not touch any development in that municipality. In this case, my understanding is that the developer followed all the rules in the code book as laid down by this city council just a few years ago. And he's now on the verge of possibly getting his development denied. That is not a wise decision by the council. You are free to make your codes as strict as you would like. But once you approve a code and a developer walks in and he invests a ton of money to buy a piece of land and proposes a development that complies with all the regulations spelled out in your code, you can't pull the rug. You can't change the rules of the game in the middle of the game. Treating developers in this manner will create a negative image for the city of San Jose, and that's not what you want. I urge you to think about the consequences of your decision. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Kathy Brockdorf.
Thank you. When we came to California, we first lived in a small condo. Shortly after we moved in, a giant apartment complex began construction behind us. It was horrible. We had dust everywhere, cracks were appearing in the walls, and we couldn't enjoy the space. Street parking was impossible to find. We bought a house here not that long ago. This is the biggest investment we've ever made, and the thought of the same scale of construction is scary. Unlike the apartment building, there isn't a fire lane behind us. If this catches fire, I worry about my home burning down. I worry about construction damage and how we'll sell our house in future. I worry that our quiet street will be completely full of construction parking and future hotel guests and workers. I'd like to have solar panels, but if this goes through, we will live in shadow for half of the year. This neighborhood is a close community. We check in on each other and help each other out. A smaller commercial structure where we could grab coffee, get a sandwich, or hang out would be ideal. More housing would also be a plus. Going through with this construction for no benefit to our community will hurt us. Please listen to my neighbors and to your constituents. Please support this appeal.
Cameron Benji. Cameron. Okay, I'm going to move on to Vince Navarra. Vince.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm Vince Navarra, President of the Hammond Park Neighborhood Association. We've had our home here since 1959. And what I hear from our neighborhood is that we're objecting for this development from the neighbors, from the businesses, the school. It's a heavy drop-off pickup area, morning and evening. We stood out on the property just last week, and we noted that the traffic runs on Winchester about 60 miles an hour. The convalescent hospital is objecting to this. It's a 160-bed convalescent home, 150 residents. Our neighborhood is about 85% single-family homes. We're worried about traffic, safety. We're also worried about the through traffic through our residential streets. So safety, traffic, the fire access is very limited to that property. It only has a single driveway for the size of the operation. And we are objecting to this. We also worked with a developer, and we feel that they don't really have the real hotel experience. They're going to walk away from this, and they're going to leave our neighborhood with a staff of problems to deal with traffic and safety and a whole host of other problems that will come down the line. And we represent a very nice, quiet, affluent neighborhood. And this doesn't really fit in with our neighborhood vision and how we run our neighborhood. So thank you for speaking, but we are objecting this proposal. Thank you.
Jimmy Lynn?
Yeah, hi, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I've got three main reasons why against the construction of the hotel in my neighborhood. Number one, traffic. Winchester is only a 2-lane road each way. Already massive backups getting in and out of Winchester today. And so really adding a hotel just further complicates things. And really, I think the residents want to see a holistic plan to address this, not just specifically focused on what we're going to do for this one piece of property for the hotel. Number two, safety. As was admitted earlier by the permit official, the fire department hasn't even provided a full assessment of fire safety because building construction details have not been submitted. So it's really hard to, how can we proceed here giving fire safety has not been fully addressed and potential lives are at stake. And finally, business. I would love to have this urban village plan succeed. I would love to be able to walk outside my house and see more walkways and bikeways and greeneries and more businesses. But at the same time, I haven't seen any of the business data to actually convince me. Like, what is the revenue benefits, not just to my neighborhood, but also to the city? I haven't seen this information. Case in point, Lynn Haven apartment mixed-use complex further up north of Winchester. Beautiful space, lots of retail spaces that are completely empty. So I don't even see how a hotel even makes business sense, given some of the history of what we try to do here. And lastly, I just ask how many of the members of the council would raise your hand when asked if you want to live right next to a hotel. I surely wouldn't raise mine. So massively against this this construction.
Sam Monfared? Sam? I'm going to move on to John Griswold.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is John Griswold. I live at 1235 Red Oaks, immediately east of the project site. It is obvious to reasonable people that this hotel will not succeed. That's why the big name hotel chains aren't interested. They see what the city apparently does not. The proposed hotel site is too small, and insufficient parking will drive it to be underutilized and not profitable. Had the city considered ground level retail space with upstairs apartments, that space would be flexible for various commercial tenants. That way, if one retail tenant left, another would gladly take this prized spot within the Winchester urban village. However, we will have a 6-story failed hotel without a backup plan because the proposed hotel structure is ill-suited for other commercial applications. I will live indefinitely in the shadow of an empty hulk unless you grant this appeal today. The proposed hotel is the wrong building for the Winchester urban village at this location. The city council knows it, but hopes that it will take years for the failure to reveal itself. Ask yourself what will become of this building 5 years from now. Please end this failed project before it begins. Thank you.
Blair Beekman?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Sounds like a difficult item here today. I just wanted to quickly offer that no matter what is considered for the future of this site, that the ideas of mass transit can be an important concept. How to consider planning of whatever will be built here for the future of this site and for building on the west side of San Jose in this area. Mass transit really needs to be considered in the future of building. I just thought of on the west side, and I thought I would remind yourselves of that at this time. Thank you.
Monica?
Hi, my name is Monica Juma. I'm the daughter of Tom and Gail Mormon, and I've seen how this 2-year process has been incredibly stressful and really emotional for our whole family. My parents, have been involved years ago when the urban village was first proposed and went to all the community meetings and were really on board and supportive, and really believe in this process of being active and involved citizens. And so we're really trusting in you as our voted representatives to represent the community. Thank you so much.
Cameron? Benji?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Cameron Benji, and I'm speaking in support of Dr. Asghari's project. I'm a principal at Blue Ash Investments based in Los Angeles. We are a privately held development company and have successfully developed many projects, including a 139-key Hyatt-centric hotel in downtown Los Angeles. We were attracted to the concept of urban villages in San Jose, and we were considering San Jose as a site for one of our future hotel projects. We are discouraged to see the objections and opposition from the neighborhood despite the concessions offered by Dr. Asghari. We are watching this process closely and the decision that the council members make today. Your decision will dictate whether developers such as us should consider San Jose for future projects. Thank you.
Sam Monford?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Sam Monford from Carpera Design Group Architecture Company and the designer of Manchester Hotel Project. We started this project about 2 years ago, and we went through long process. We followed all the city regulations and guidelines and addressed all restrictions through this process. This project took millions of dollars, more than 1,000 hours of work with professional teams to get to this point. I did 5 other projects in the urban village area in past 4 years. And I'm sure Urban Village Master Plan, which was approved in 2017 through the same city council, took millions of dollars and consumed a lot of time of experts and professional teams to come up with this fantastic idea, which will support the future of the city of San Jose. I'm sure all these ideas went through a very hard and time-consuming process with all professionals who worked hard to make this urban village idea happen. So I think all developers and investors whom are planning to invest in the city of San Jose are following and watching the output of such a city council meeting to make sure their investment is safe and the city of San Jose will support them. In addition, hotels and any other new projects like this will create hundreds of new job opportunities in the city. I'm sure some of these ideas, which is not pleasant in short term for a few, but in long run, we need to consider what is good for the future of the city of San Jose. So at the end, I think it's very important we all support the idea of urban village, which came through from hardworking of professional teams and experts. Thank you.
Jimmy? Jimmy? Moving on to Aisha.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Mayor Liccardo, Vice Mayor Jones, City Council members, I thank you for the time to hear our appeal today. My name is Aisha Salihu. I'm a teacher at San Jose Unified, and I live at 1204 South Winchester Boulevard. My community has been constantly involved in the development of this project and hearing its processes over the last 2 years. We attended meetings with the developer. We asked questions, we shared our concerns. What is upsetting today is our concerns falling on deaf ears. We're talking about fire safety. We're talking about the safety of children. Within a mile of this site, there are 5 schools. I know this because I used to walk to all of those 5 schools. I was an employee of the Campbell Union School District. I care very deeply about the future of San Jose. I want it to prosper. I want to remind us all that the technology capital of the world was San Jose. And San Jose has so much to offer investors and the world. We don't need to feel like somehow developers can tell us that we don't have anything to offer. This hotel does not match the location. There are no amenities around this area. I've lived there for over 25 years, I know. There are no fire lanes for this proposed building other than Winchester Boulevard itself. There are no comments about privacy. There are no comments about the shadow being cast on the houses surrounding both to the north and to the back. I ask you to consider what is best for this site, what is best for San Jose as a whole, and show that the people of San Jose, when we get involved, when we work together, that we can do things that are good for the city, economically and socially. Thank you.
Back to council.
All right, thank you. Thanks to all the members of the community for speaking, both those who came here in person and those who spoke remotely. We appreciate this has been a deeply contentious issue. Mr. Heckman, I see you raising your hand. Did you want to respond? No. Okay. Is that right? He has 30 seconds? Okay, he's got 30 seconds. Mr. Heckman? See what you can do in 30.
Mayor, so in my 30 seconds, I can tell you that I listened to the public comments just now from 11 neighbors. I was familiar with them because they're all in the written materials that I reviewed, and they are addressed in the staff report. Staff reviewed them in coming up with their recommendation of denial. So that's 14 seconds. Thank you.
It's impressive brevity for a fellow attorney. All right, thank you. All right, Vice Mayor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the major concerns on this project is fire safety. And can you, staff, can you walk me through whether those concerns were fully addressed as part of your analysis?
Yeah, John Tu, Acting Division Manager. So what happens is that when projects come forward, they come with architectural designs. These generally are not construction design level. So the fire and building provide kind of high level comments at the planning stage. As part of the planning stage, the fire department has said that in order to design this project, they would need to grant a variance. As part of the fire department, it's very common among multiple buildings for fire to grant variance. What that means, instead of using typical apparatus such as the side or the matters, they either have higher rating walls, additional other means of getting water to the site, or other measures. So when they get to the construction drawings that are going to be proposed, they can propose the correct measure to grant that variance.
So,
and Vice Mayor, I'd like to add that building permits will never be issued for projects that do not comply with the city's fire code.
That was going to be my next question. So thank you, Robert. There was also a concern raised about rideshare dropping off people on Winchester. How is that mitigated?
Well, they will not be dropped off on the street of Winchester. They'll be dropped down underground on the site. And to mitigate the concerns about pedestrian safety, as part of the conditions, there is conditions that they had to have beeping lights and as well as sounds to ensure that any pedestrians or cyclists would be aware that any cars are coming in and out of the site.
Okay. Under security concerns on page 15 of the staff report, staff mentioned that the developer may need to amend the TDM with a special use permit amendment if a security guard needs a parking space. At what point would that happen, and who would enforce that modification?
So if they were to modify to somehow, because they're currently asking for a 49% reduction. So in order to accommodate any additional parking, they most likely would need to do an alternative parking arrangement to find a way to provide a parking space for that additional staff. As a result of that, to meet the parking requirement, they would need to do an amendment. If they were below the reduction, they may only need to do an adjustment, but because they're at a 49% reduction, they need to do a special use permit to amend the policy to meet their parking requirement per the code.
Okay, and then Also, it was raised about the issue with adequate parking as well as the traffic impacts. Um, Can you speak to that that issue that was raised by a member of the public?
Yeah, so each hotels are operating a little differently. They're using industry standards as the hotel standards and industries are changing. If you've been to some hotels, they don't necessarily work each single room every single night. So as hotel industries changes, we understand that. So they provided an operation plan to kind of determine their parking needs for their specific site. In regards to that, overall, the city is looking at trying to right size our parking for the projects and providing reduction when there is an opportunity. So based on their operation plan, their transportation demand management, which includes shuttles, parking passes, and providing education to the employees, that TDM plan is sufficient for us to warrant granting that reduction for the parking. In regards to the overall traffic on the site, the project is proposing as part of it to give part of their site over to provide a third lane. As like one member said, it's only currently a 2-lane. They will be providing a third lane as well as widening the sidewalk to help kind of address not just this specific site, but overall the traffic flow in Winchester.
So going back to the parking, is it based on benchmarking other like hotels, or how is that benchmarking determined?
It's really based on their operation plan and what they're proposing. There's a lot of different vendors that propose different types of configuration. So based on that operation plan is where staff looks at their TDM and will see what reduction is warranted and how much is required as their parking.
Great. So this is very challenging situation, and I think Tom Mormon actually captured it perfectly. As stated by the city attorney, we're supposed to act in a judicial fashion and just make a decision based on the facts that are presented and the merits of the appellant and the applicant. So my last question to staff is, were there any issues that were raised by the appellant that rose to the level where we can legally justify not supporting the appeal?
I think staff combed through every single appeal letter and responded to each item to determine that we can still make the findings that are required of the permit as well as determination regarding the CEQA document. There wasn't anything new that wasn't originally stated beforehand before staff made the findings. And then in addition to that, staff further reinforced that in the staff report.
Okay, so there were no issues raised that were new or rose to the level where we can support the appeal.
That would be correct.
That'd be correct. All right, so taking that into consideration in weighing everything that's been presented, and I want to again show my appreciation and respect for the community. I think that they did things the right way. They advocated for themselves. They were accommodating. They were willing to compromise and willing to make concessions. And so I just want to acknowledge and commend the community. I'm in a situation where I have to make a decision based on the facts that were presented and with the information and feedback that we just heard from city staff. So I'm going to make the motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Right, it's a motion and a second. All right, other members of the council? No one else does. I have a few questions. So why don't I go there? I wanted to go back to all the way back to the appellant's first statements, Ms. Markar. First, starting with the side setbacks on the property line. As I understand it, I don't know if we can look at an overhead view here, but I looked at the staff response, the SUP and the IR. Is there an overhead view we can take here? Just like to make sure I understand clearly what's at stake here. So I'll describe the issue. Hopefully the map can get up there in the meantime. On page 11 of the staff memo, you describe your response to the side setback issue. And essentially, the response is, hey, if we had adjacency to residential, either urban residential or residential neighborhood, you'd have a setback of, I think, 10 feet. But you don't have any setback because on the north and the south, well, in the south, we have, I guess, the PQP, land use designation. On the north, I believe what's indicated is,
I believe it's neighborhood community commercial.
that's it. Yeah, thank you. Neighborhood community commercial. Again, is there an overhead map? Early on, I think there's one
Yeah,
on the
now,
slide.
so we have the aerial. We don't have a map. I have to go to that page there.
I'll take that one.
Yep.
That's great. Let's go there. The concern I have is actually, if you look at the north of this, it looks as though there's some residential parcel to the northeast. And I'm wondering about that parcel. That is, I presume, is neighborhood residential. I assume that would get some greater setback. Is that right? Or am I misreading the map here?
So it's in CP zoning district. The side setbacks are none or established in the urban village
Yeah.
for CP zoning.
And the urban village is 0?
Yeah.
Even
So what you're talking about is the exception, right? That's saying that, it's 0 if it's not adjacent to the residential or butts a residential. Then the setback becomes 5. But for the rear setback, which is most of what's on the east, there is a rear setback and step down.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying regardless, this complies with the setback requirements at 6 feet?
Yes, they actually can go to 0, so they're giving a bigger setback.
Right. Another contention, I know another neighbor recited it, and I can see that the neighborhood community commercial land use designation does allow for hotels technically, is that right?
Yeah, we've developed a lot of hotels in NCC.
Yeah. But the contention is the specific plan calls for the hotels to be north of Moore Park near 280.
I believe the person was referencing urban village commercial designation. This site is not urban village commercial, it's NCC. So I think there was confusion in the designation that she referenced.
Well, I think though what she said was that hotel specifically, the actual.
Yeah, and she said urban village commercial states that hotels are generally.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is.
It's not in urban village commercial designations, NCC. So that policy that she's referencing wouldn't apply.
All right, so what she was referencing was not a uniform policy about where hotels go, but merely where hotels go within urban.
Village commercial designations, which it was just referencing in urban village commercial designations, which are generally north of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a clarification elsewhere in the plan explicitly that says, hey, hotels can go in NCC as well?
I don't think it explicitly says that's where they're going.
Yeah.
I think it's just more of the narrative talking about, there's opportunities in those areas, but I don't think it explicitly calls out that it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I can understand why neighbors would be frustrated about that. I'm pretty familiar with the neighborhood. I spent probably more time than I should at the South Winchester barbecue. And my understanding, I know this is a relatively busy street, although this isn't the busiest part of Winchester, I know, but my understanding is hotels have relatively low intensity in terms of trips and parking. Could you talk a little bit about hotels versus other land uses based on our experience? I know we've done a lot of consultant studies on lots of different land uses, just about hotels relative to other land uses.
There's a lot of different hotels that have different uses depending on who their clientele are. So on the weekends, it's usually people who are there aren't for business, but family members visiting, the general uses. So their trips gets a little spread out. During the weekday, it'd be a combination of different groups of people. Given the proximity on Winchester and how close they are to other businesses nearby, those trips generate from there. A lot of times they'll use other non-parking situations such as shuttles or other means to get around, but they generally aren't heavy trip generated. You can have as much as 5 different rooms, 5 different people, and they use one carpool to get around because that's just the nature of that specific hotel. That's why the operation of each hotel is a little unique.
Right. Yeah, I I agree also that they tend not to be big consumers of parking, but one specific concern was raised about parking, about there being only 10 spaces for employees. And I think the suggestion was that there was some sleight of hand with regard to determining how many employees would actually be working in different shifts and so forth to be able to get in under the 10. And I'm wondering if staff looked at that concern and we evaluated it.
Staff looked at the concern as well as looked at the community comments on different operation. And based on who we talked to and our understanding of hotels, there really are different operations on how they operate. In particular, the example of housekeeping, how many times they come in versus other, the industry standard can be pre-pandemic where they were more often before. So if they do end up needing more staff, as staff is conditioned, they would need to come in and do an amendment to meet the parking code requirement with an alternative parking arrangement or another, or any other measures that they need to do to accommodate that parking.
Right, so they need to show they have a lease with some other site where their employees are going to park.
Potentially, if that's the option they choose for alternative parking arrangement.
All right, they can't just tell their employees, hey, go find parking somewhere on the street.
No.
And is there a way we can ensure through conditions that will actually be, I know we're not going to have a parking monitor sitting out there. Is there any way for us to actually know in terms of any follow-up verification?
So the TDM is a condition of the permit, so it is enforceable when it comes to our attention there's a violation.
Okay, so if employees see, hey, there's 35 employees in there, we can do something about it by pulling the permit. All right. And then a concern was raised by Ms. Marquardt that seemed to be a very sensible concern about the dumpsters and where they're disposing the garbage. Obviously, neighbors should be concerned if there are potentially rodents or anything else that might be coming from odors. What can we say about the location and the disposal of the garbage pickup?
So the dumpsters will be utilizing the street, but they're not going to be out there the entire time. Otherwise, it'd be enclosed within the structure in itself. That's just the nature. I think most of us think of dumpsters in the old conventional sense, but I can assure you there's a lot more regulations on any dumpster spaces to ensure that they're enclosed and not being a nuisance to adjacent uses.
But they are facing the rear residences. The residences just to the rear of the site, that is to the east.
They're in the north side and in a fully enclosed room.
They're on the north side.
Yeah.
Okay. And the north side is actually an NCC site.
Yeah.
It's not residential.
Yep.
Okay. So at least the residents behind the hotel don't have to worry about dumpsters.
Yeah, in addition to that, there is a rear setback between them that's not adjacent to it as well, the building.
Okay. But that's very helpful. I appreciate that the many concerns raised by the community, and I don't by any means minimize the concerns. The reality is we did create a plan that anticipates substantial density along Winchester because it's long been intended to be a grand boulevard of the city that requires a significant amount of commercial activity. A 6-story hotel is entirely consistent with that plan. That's what we told the community. That's what we told people who might be interested in investing in our city. And so ultimately, if we believe that's not the right plan, we should change the plan. But it seems to me we've got an applicant who has complied, and I appreciate there are many concerns that have been raised, but I also appreciate how diligent staff and Vice Mayor Jones' team has been in following up, making sure those concerns are meaningfully addressed. Okay, let's go to any other questions from council. See, Vice Mayor, did you want to speak again? No, okay. Any other council members like to speak? I don't see any hands. Let's vote then on the motion from the Vice Mayor.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales, Cohen,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza, Arenas, Foley.
Yes, this is Esparza. Yes.
Thank you. Mahan,
Aye. And
Jones.
Foley's
I'll
aye.
go back. Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Morales,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're now moving to item 3.1, which is the report of our city manager. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a very quick report so we can get to our other business. I'm pleased to report that the City of San Jose has been featured for best practices in the state and local fiscal recovery funds Equity and Outcomes Resource Guide, which was recently published by the U.S. Department of the Treasury. The State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds program is part of the American Rescue Plan Act. As we know, the systemic inequities faced by marginalized communities, including challenges with increasing density and growing income disparity pre-pandemic, were exacerbated by COVID-19. The onset of the pandemic aligned with San Jose's formal journey to better understand and embed equity into our culture, decision-making, and practice. San Jose is featured in the Equity Framework section of the guide for our best practices in incorporating equity frameworks and tools into recovery, initiative prioritization, and resourcing. It highlights San Jose's approach, which includes an equity component to prioritizing projects in the city's COVID-19 recovery plan. San Jose's inclusion in the guide highlights the progress we've made together to learn, understand, and strive toward equity as we continuously deliver essential city programs and services and continue to learn and improve in this area. I would like to recognize City Council for their leadership in prioritizing equity and securing COVID-19 relief funding, including the American Rescue Plan Act funds for San Jose. I'd also like to acknowledge all city employees for their many contributions to San Jose's COVID-19 response, enabling our community to recover from the public health and economic crisis caused by the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, and congratulations to the city team for that distinction. Very meaningful given all the challenges that were taken on during the pandemic. Item 6.1 is the construction contingency increase for the digester and thickener facilities upgrade project at our wastewater plant. Welcome. Welcome, Marianne.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor. We have a presentation. We can go a little quickly.
No,
through
take
it.
your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. My name is Matthew Nguyen. I'm a Deputy Director for Public Works, and I manage the construction at the regional wastewater facility and also the capital improvement program in the city. And with me today is Mariana, Deputy Director, Mariana Chavez, Chris, sorry. Deputy Director for ESD, manage the capital program at the regional wastewater facility. So today we're gonna present to you the digester project and the fourth contingency increase.
And final increase.
And final, yeah, it's now built, right? So you can't get any more.
Yeah.
This project was awarded to WASH Construction in 2016, and the digester project was designed to modernize and improve capacity as well as the reliability of the digester gas production system. And the scope of the project include the rehabilitation of 4 digester tanks and also modification of the DAF units, construction of new sludge screening building, and also polymer injection station and new odor control system. And along the way, we also build a series of elevated pipe rack so that we can relocate the pipe from underground to these new pipes. And the project took place when the whole operation is still in operation without any interruption. So as of April of this year, the project achieved the substantial completion stage. And since then, the system went through a series of functional and operational tests. And it was ready to be, it was recently handed over to O&M for operation. So here's another view of, here's a view, an overview of the animation just doesn't work, of the project.
So we just wanted to show here, this is the finalized project. You can see the 4 digesters, all the piping. The project, as Matthew mentioned, is completely done. We are commissioning it. We have been to council before, and you can see here we have a drone fly just to show you how it's looking. You will not recognize the original digesters. This is all the pipe that was taken out of the tunnels, all these to improve safety at the facility. Our new compression facility, what you see covered here are new thickener tanks. Also, all the odor control has been implemented. New polymer area, new screening building, and all the gas is now going to the new cogeneration facility. So the project is completely done. We're just going to talk a little bit about the contingencies that we have had so far and the last and final contingency.
Yeah, thank you, Mariana. And so through the construction, we encountered quite a few changes and as well as delay. So here's a quick look at what happened and all of the contingency increase that was approved by City Council in the past. Should be note that during the third contingency increase that happened in April 21, we also mentioned that we'll come back because there's another a potential claim that will come from the contractor relate to loss of productivity. So, yeah, in early 2022, WAS came to us with a claim asking for compensation for the loss of productivity. So what is loss of productivity? Here's one way to look at it. On a project that has no change, usually the city will just pay for the contractor for the contracted work, and we close the project out at the end of the project. When there's some small change to the project, we track and monitor the changes, and we pay for those changes on top of the contract work, and we close the project out. However, on a project that has multiple changes and it pushed the schedule out significantly, that's when we will have to pay for another claim. It's called time-related impact or time-related overhead. So that's the cost to pay for the contractor to pay for all of the overhead costs relate to their on-site trailers, supervisors, equipment, things like that they have to maintain on site to keep the operation running. In a few rare projects where we have excessive changes, then besides paying for all of the changes that happen in the project, the contractor also asks for loss of productivity compensation. And so basically they're claiming that due to the excessive amount of changes, they weren't able to perform their contract work as originally intended. So one very classic example is instead of digging a trench using a backhoe in a wide open area, now they have to hand dig that trench because that trench now is right next to another foundation that was built during the construction that was added to the project. So now they have to hand dig it. Therefore, they take much longer to do that same work. So early this year, contractor was submit the claim using 2 different methods. The first one is called IPS curve. It's an industry study prepared by Dr. Eves and based on over 2,000 projects in the past. And it's showing that there's a relationship between the loss of productivity and the amount of changes. And the study concludes that the more change happening to the project, the less efficient the workers will be. And then also on the second method, it's called modified total cost. This is basically a comparison between a planned work and the actual work that they have to spend to complete that same work. And the delta between that two is the loss of productivity. And these claims came in at one below 5 and another one in the mid $5 million range. And so they take the average of the two. And so the claim came in at about $5.1 million. This is some kind of a claim that we haven't seen before. So we had to, we reached out to PMA Consulting, who's considered to be an expert in this field. And we asked them to look at the claim, and also we seek for advice from our attorney, and we did our own assessment to determine the validity of the claim. So at the end, we recognize that yes, there's a large number of changes that happen to the project. And while this is the first time we see this kind of claim, it's been seen elsewhere with other agencies, and it's being accepted by other jurisdictions and agencies, as well as being supported by a lot of studies out there and also court cases in the past. So on the other hand, we also found that the claim doesn't have all of the documentation and information that we're looking for. And the EAPS curve may contain some good information. However, it's not fully applicable to our case. So with that, and also the claim includes some of the COVID-related claim that we already dealt with separately. So with all of that information, we approached Wash Construction. We met with them to negotiate and settle on the claim. And by the end of May, we agreed to settle for $2.55 million, which is approximately half of the total claim amount. And also on top of that, there are some other additional changes to the project, which cost about $500,000. And so we put together this contingency increase request for a total amount of $3.1 million. And we got TPAC approval on this increase of contingency on August 11. So today we are here recommending the approval of the contingency increase to allow us to close the project out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to members of the public.
I have no hands up.
All right, let's go back to the council. Councilmember Jimenez.
Yes, thank you so much for the information. You know, with these type of projects, I feel like this is something we see periodically, and I feel like this is like a million-pound train going down the tracks, and we have no real sort of option to derail it and sort of address some of the stuff. So I'm going to move approval of this. But I guess what I'm curious is, you know, it seems to me that many of these projects, we've seen many increases in different spaces. And I know it's partially attributed to the complexity of the projects and things like that, things we didn't know existed, all that. But what I'm curious about is do you have a sense if there's been any cost savings in any of these projects? I mean, I know that often maybe doesn't get highlighted, but I just feel like it's always going one direction. And I'm wondering if you can enlighten us as to whether there's been maybe some savings or it could have been worse, you know.
Yes.
Please.
So maybe just to give
I'm
you
sure
some,
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
it could have been worse, but just to give you like a little bit of a perspective on where we are. This project was the first project in our program that we really put out there for construction. It is a very large and complex project. Like in retrospective, I think that we have learned that we shouldn't have done under a traditional method. The original contingency for this project was only 12%. Right now, most of our projects, what we're seeing is because of the unknown conditions, the need to operate continuously and all that, we're coming around 20% contingency. One thing that I want to highlight about this project is that this project, in a way, is a poster child of all the things that we have learned in the program. So we found a lot of unexpected conditions and all of things that were unrelated. So just to give you some perspective, almost 30 million of the contingency increase in this project was for issues non-related to the scope of the project. So we had collapsed pipes that we had to replace. We had hazardous materials. We had a whole EPA investigation that we had to deal with, delays and so on. So if you look at the actual contingency that was added just for the project, we're actually around 20%. So the rest of the cost has gone to other issues that we have had to address. So I think in general, as large as it is, it shows that we are in the ballpark of what we're seeing. That said, we have moved to different methods and we have actually made a lot of adjustments in the program to not run into these conditions again. And one thing that we haven't mentioned, the project has actually 2.4 million in savings. So we had credit for this project coming back. It's just a matter of it goes to the appropriation, doesn't go to the contingency. We don't have access to it. So overall, I think that, again, it's successful. I mean, the facilities are done, they are operating well. It's a well-done project. The quality of the project is good. So I think overall, I mean, it's not good to come back as a last time, but we were almost 6 years in the process of this with COVID, with EPA, dealings with the air quality board district with us.
Yeah.
So there has been a lot of challenges.
Okay. And then can you, these, I know there's another item after this, but, and maybe that's another one, but not another one, but another project. But can you remind me how many of these different, was it just like, I feel like we see these every now and again. I have trouble keeping track of how many projects are going on there. And so how many, this was one of the larger ones?
This is one of the largest ones that we have. We have 2 other large projects under construction right now. However, those 2, one is for 125 million, one is for 130 million, are both under design build. So we have a different way to manage the risk. So you will not see those coming back. We have right now 10 projects under construction at any given time.
Okay.
So it has been really complex to manage.
Yeah, right. And then what is a standard level of acceptable contingency when these get approved? Is it? I know the other one after this is 15%, but
15% usually. We know that there is going to be a lot of underground utilities and so on. We're pushing for 20, but our standard in the program is 15%, 20 for more complex projects.
Okay, and obviously we went above and beyond.
This one, that's what I was trying to say. Once that you put together all the contingencies and the actual relation to the project, we're at 20.5%.
Okay, and then the other projects that are going on, do those?
As I said, depending 15 to 20%.
15 to 20%. Okay, and well, I have some questions about the next one, but I guess I'll stop asking questions. But it seems to me that obviously in these projects, what we're seeing is that it eats up and that it eats up a part of the contingency, but that's what it's meant to do, right? Create this buffer zone, if you will. And so for example, when we have 15% contingency, which seems to be the standard, do we or acceptable in the program, when we do that, do we expect that they're going to eat up the 15%? Is that sort of a given, and we approach it as if that's going to happen?
It doesn't happen all the time. We actually, if you guys want, we can come back with a report. There are some projects that we have finished within contingency. The contingency leftover returns to the appropriation. So not all the projects will go all the way to the contingency.
All right. Okay. All right. So I'll move approval.
Motion second. Just to follow up on Councilmember Jimenez's questions. The project looks great from the drone, but $180 million budget, 70 million in contingencies, not ideal. Is there anything we've learned through all this that we believe we can apply to the next projects that we think can reduce some of these upward budgetary risks?
Yes. So one thing is, as I mentioned, we are now looking at our more complex projects in a different delivery method. So we are doing design build, and we're seeing some, at least risk sharing and management of that in a better way. So as I mentioned, the other two large projects that we have are under that method.
Right.
I don't think we would do again a project that is complex in terms of like the operations and the amount of equipment that is involved as a traditional DBB.
Right.
I don't think that would happen. Another thing that we have learned is that the amount of construction that we can successfully do for a project while operating the plant is something that we have to be a little bit more cautious with.
Yeah.
This project had a really large scope, and I think that we were over optimistic that we could do it. I think that we have learned that, and we're trying to keep our scopes a little smaller.
Right.
The other thing also is that we have learned quite a bit of the site conditions and how we're addressing that. So we have a lot of other program systems in place to deal with hazardous investigations and all those things. So I'm really hoping that we will not be coming back with similar situations here.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I know it's good that we're learning that experience. I'm concerned whether or not the institutional memory carries, because obviously it's a big organization, people move around, people move on. Is there anything we can say? Is there an internalizing that happens at Public Works that really helps us
It's not
learn as an organization?
Public Works does their own thing. Yes.
Yes, we work closely together. We have staff from both Public Works and ESD, looking at all of this. Definitely, there'll be some kind of a report that we'll put together at the end, and we will make sure that we transfer that knowledge down to everyone working on the program or the CIP program in the entire city.
In our program, just to kind of answer your question for RWF, we have very systematic approach. So there is documentation on all these things. So there is a way for us to kind of recreate and learn what we have done. So we are using that as the other projects come along.
Thank you. Yep, I know these are challenging for lots of reasons. Just really important that we're learning as an organization how to keep doing them better. Okay. I don't see any of the hands, so let's vote.
Jimenez,
Aye.
Morales,
Yes.
Cohen, Crosco,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza, Arenas,
Yes.
Foley, Mahan,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Licardo.
Aye.
I'm going to go back to Cohen, Esparza, and Foley. Thank you. Motion passes with 8 votes.
Sorry, aye.
That was a
That's
late
Cohen?
aye. Yes, it's in there. Okay. Item 6.2 is a report on bids and award of construction for fire life safety upgrades project.
There is no presentation. We're just here for questions.
Councilor Jimenez. Okay, let's go to the public first. I see 2 hands.
Caller 7295.
This is just on item 6.2, the fire life safety upgrades project, the wastewater plant.
Hello, may I speak?
Yes. Welcome.
My name is Jan Klonis. Good afternoon. I'm appearing on behalf of FE Controls Corporation, which is a female minority-owned business that submitted by far the lowest bid on this project. In fact, it was about $575,000 less than the next lowest bid. But FE Controls is not the preliminary recipient of this contract. FE Controls bid was disqualified purportedly because it did not submit a form entitled Fire Alarm Experience Requirements. But that document actually is not required, and FE Controls submitted all other required forms and information to qualify for this contract. The required submissions are identified in 2 documents, a submittal checklist provided to bidders and the proposal document itself. Both of those do not identify or in any way refer to a fire alarm experience form. Instead, they both refer to the Statement of Builder's Experience, which FE Control submitted fully completed under oath, containing all the information necessary for this project, including that they have completed 2 projects of 5 or more buildings regarding installation of certain fire monitoring systems. The fire alarm experience form appears in only one place, addendum number 4, but with no instructions as to how that form is to be used or if it's to even be submitted. We submit that disqualifying FE controls here elevates form over substance. And in fact, block construction's submission itself should have been disqualified. They submitted a form that did not identify any 5 building projects. And in fact, they were contacted as to whether the information in that submission was correct or not, and given a chance to correct it.
Back to council.
Okay, Councilmember Jimenez.
Yeah, the question I had is so there's in this particular case, there's a 15% contingency, and I think the project is about $161,000 away from triggering the PLA. And so what I'm curious about is there, do we expect that it's going to eat up some of the contingency? Because even if it eats up about, I estimated it's about 5.7%, it's going to naturally flow of that 3 million. And so I'm curious how we sort of approach that.
Thank you, Councilman, for the question. Matt Kano, Director of Public Works. And so what we use for the PLA trigger is the engineer's estimate at the time of bid. And so in this case, the engineer's estimate at the time of bid was $2.6 million. So just in that case where possibly the estimate goes above, or if the total budget, let's just say through change orders or use of contingency is $3.5 million, that doesn't matter. The PLA is triggered at time of bid. And so at the time of bid, the engineer's estimate is 2.6, and so there's no PLA on this project. Having said that, we have since revised the PLA, so it's roughly $1 million now. So if this project were to go out to bid again at 2.6 million, it would, under the new PLA, require a PLA.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it. And I'll move approval.
All right, any other comments? Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Aye.
Morales,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza, Arenas,
Yes.
Foley, Mahan,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Licardo.
Aye.
Motion passes with 9.
Great, let's go to open forum.
I have Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Boy, I gotta run here to my open forum comments. They're not too long, hopefully. As the equity roundtable may take a few more, hold on a sec. I hope there can be continued good work of what we can do now, and how to ask that the people from the unhoused community and people with disability and mobility needs can be placed on all of the San Jose Commission openings available at this time. As the equity roundtable may take a few more months and into a new mayoral administration to fully form, and that can better work to answer these sort of questions. Good luck in how the equity roundtable can better address these sort of questions, and in how to possibly look at a new name for themselves as well. And that, again, I also hope at this time we can want to better consider a return in how surveillance technology, data collection, and civil protection ideas can be open, accessible, and more easily understandable for the everyday public, as these are incredibly important ways to talk about the future of innovation and how to help bridge the digital divide. Thanks a lot for the meeting today, and good luck to the meeting tonight on the future of how to define our voting rights issues. It should be interesting. Thanks a lot for having it.
Elizabeth, Elizabeth? Okay, back to council.
Okay, thanks everybody, the meeting's adjourned.
Okay, I would like to remind everybody that we have a special study session at 6 p.m. That is hybrid. You can be virtual or in person. And that is on extending municipal voting rights. Just a reminder to the public who's here and to the council members.